Flat Earth Debate, Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Speaking of Patreons, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon, so a massive shout of thanks and appreciation to Flat Earth Sage, Goldie McKinnon, Phoenix Rising 86, Retro Bill, More Books, Cannabear, Fibre Oats, Christian Albert, Michael Kahn, Rob H, John Kays, Patrick Gunnels, Banter, Will Brax, Troy Shuker, Harry Blade, Mobile Mac 777, Neo the One, Rob W, Open Minded, Reese Pound, Del West Watson, Maria Leland, Unbelievable Productions, Blue Ridge Ranger, The Real Gabster, Liam Nedrick Jr., Abraham Mohammed, Adrian Quintana, Skeptic936, Life is Short, Texas Mike, and David Wayne Foster. So another massive thank you to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Now I will hand over to whoever is in Discord and Google so you can enjoy their dulcet tones while I set up for today's live show.
Hello?
Morning, Nathan.
Morning. Hey, Neil.
How am I coming in?
Very well.
Okay. That post by Wolfie's got me annoyed.
Oh, yeah. Made me smile. Amused me greatly. Share your pain.
Yeah, I'm glad it amuses you, but it pisses me off.
Relax, Neil.
You have to fill us in. Is it a new one?
Oh, yeah, he did. Yeah,
Wolfie?
he sent me another response.
Oh, I'm sure.
The first thing I do when I wake up
cool.
is go through various messages, Skype and such. And there was a message from Patreon. Not Patreon. What was it? GoFundMe. So I went in and had a look at the message, and it's from Wolfie again. I've got to be honest, I had to go to a lesson, so I only had a chance to scan over it for a few seconds and chuckle to myself about how much pain he was in based on the little novel he wrote. Very amusing.
Definitely was a novel. I usually don't read it when it's that long, but I was slowly getting annoyed as I read it. But it's true. They're just sharing their pain.
Why are you getting annoyed?
Yeah, that's what I want to know more than anything. I'm more intrigued with why you're getting annoyed with Wolfie's email. Because obviously he's triggered, that
Because
much
he
is
says some things that I don't think are right.
Yeah, but he's
And
triggered
excuse
you.
me for defending my friends, but that's the way I am.
Sorry,
You
what
say
did he-
something about you, you're saying something directly about me.
What was he saying about
Defending
me?
is
Hold on.
defending is
Hold on, Tenth. What's it exactly that he's saying? Because in my mind, when I asked you this question, I thought you were going to moan about the fact he circle jerked back to Bob Nodell and saying that he proved Earth turns underneath stuff at 15 degrees an hour like gyros, right? So it would turn underneath his plane at 15 degrees an hour, shortening the flight. I thought you were annoyed that he circle jerked, but you're now saying it's something that he said about me, which, no offence, Neil, I'm glad you defending my honour and all, but that sort of ad hom goes straight over my head. Water off a duck's back, mate. So if you want to air that, feel free, but literally I couldn't care less about his ad homs.
You know what he's suffering with you, that Wolfie, don't you?
Oh yeah, I know he's in pain. Absolutely.
No, but no, he's got something called Cassiolus.
Cassiolus.
I'll make a note of that.
Well, I don't think they should bring family and grow a pair and be more of a man and support your family. That stuff annoys me. Keep that out of it. Just deal with the arguments. All right? Tough guy.
Yeah, he's
Oh,
just
right, 'cause
showing
he's
you he
attacking
doesn't.
my-
He's showing you. Oh gosh.
Go on, 10th, sorry.
He's showing you he doesn't have an argument when he does that. That's why you shouldn't even get bothered by it. And then when he referred to 15 degree, I was thinking the same thing. So Earth moves underneath then.
Yeah, that part I was glad. I'm glad he voiced that. And how he has to, how plane's correct for Coriolis means he has no idea what Coriolis is, but in the next breath he'll say, you have no understanding of Coriolis.
Yeah, but why continue talking in the way you are as if he could be reasoned with when he's in pain?
I don't even know who he is. I don't even
Okay.
talk to him. I just read that and it annoys me.
The thing
That's
is,
all.
Neil,
I could be annoyed.
okay, you can be. There's nothing wrong with that. However, I empathise on a level that very few people in this world can empathise with Wolfie. And upon empathising with him, I laugh. It greatly amuses me. Now, let me explain. So, for the last 5 years, as much as, again, I've discussed this last couple of weeks, right? I wanted the silver bullet, the golden answer, all of those things. Now, when you first come to this subject, you think you found the golden egg, and then you find all of the objections that you've got to overcome and might be difficult to, and you question your own sanity and you question your own faith in what you're punting, and all those things, right? Those are things that I and you and everyone else here have been through as flat earthers. Some might not have, but you know what I'm getting at. So having gone through that, gone, oh, maybe I'm not right. Maybe it is just my new belief. And all of those sorts of, concerns that might keep you up at night. And I'm sure anybody watching as a flat earther will relate and go, yeah, I've had a few sleepless nights, or I've concerned myself because somebody presented me something that I couldn't overcome and I didn't know what to do about it. And then I found your show and realised they were just begging the question, or whatever. Now, for the last 6 months, or maybe even longer, maybe even a year, we've been saying that they're in the same exact pond as we are, and they are. Now, that means that we're ahead of the curve in terms of where they're going in their journey. Now, Wolfie's at a certain journey in his anti-flat earth rhetoric, his new version of ball belief that has planes accounting for drift that's only observable from the ground, an illusion, right? That's his new rhetoric that he's imposed upon a failed globe faith. Now, all that matters in that sentence is failed globe faith. So now he's going through what we all went through 5 years ago, going, really? Am I wrong in this? The only difference is he's doing it now for the globe, where previously, because the Western world was behind them, they could rest on their laurel of, they're just idiots, they just don't understand. So when it comes to something like this for Wolfie, and he's clearly wrong, and he's been bested by me, that's going to cause him a huge degree of pain and sleepless nights and concerns that cannot be solved with a 20% pay rise. Right? You can't buy relief for that pain. Now, that pain is the uncertainty of what he, with the Western world behind him, was so doggedly assured of when he came and asserted it to us. Now that's been shattered. Well, we've all gone through
That
it.
makes
so
sense.
We can empathise, can't we, Neil? We can see the pain that he's going to be going through, realising the massive lies that he's having to peddle and get around. Yeah, that's a big problem for him. We've been through it. We came out the other side victorious. He'll come out the other side either in denial or in more pain if he wants to affirm his globe faith, because it's not real. So he's got a dark road ahead of him. Now, we were at the same crossroads he's at now, but when we took the path of, no, we realise it's flat, and then came up with, I don't know, there'd be drift to show it's turning, there'd be an elevation angle measurement from a curved baseline if it was navigated flat, etc., etc. Well, we wouldn't be in the position we were in laughing at Wolfie as he goes through what we went through 5 years ago. So you can empathise and say, oh yeah, I get that, when whatever person presented something with me that I couldn't overcome, rumpus on the Isle of Man debates, put something to me that I just can't get around, or the observation that we've presented actually matches up beautifully with the curved maths, what am I going to do? And you stress and fret about it. Well, we're long past that, aren't we?
Yeah, that makes sense. Now I understand. You're right. He's in what we were in many years ago.
Hold on. Really is the impression, because this is similar to what Wolfie's doing, that me being able to solve a celestial navigation problem, right? You just give the coordinates out. My capability of solving that has something to do with the measurement or the methodology that we're going to discuss. So in his mind, if he can set it up to where I'm incapable, or if I can't answer the problem using a flat Earth, and he can use the answer using a flat Earth, then somehow that makes the Earth a sphere. It's kind of pain these people are in.
Can you drop and rejoin, John? He's just a little bit 80% break, 80%
Well,
audible.
not only that, but when was it McToon's challenge that first came out for $10,000?
Same challenge.
He said,
yeah.
Yeah, that was when we read the terms of that challenge. We couldn't use any of the celestial navigation aids to solve anything because they said that belongs to the globe. So the stars in the sky and the times they traverse the night sky belong to the globe. So we couldn't use any of those tables. I mean, these people are nuts.
Loco, crazy, loco.
Hey everyone, hey Nathan.
Brian.
But that's why they keep on trying to give flat earthers at the moment that straw man about the one that Proto started, where they're using the sides and the internal angles of a right angle triangle to gain a height to a celestial body. They keep on trying to give that to flat earthers. They're continually at it online. Give this straw man, the flat earther, something we don't state, as a way of them hijacking on the sidelines, hijacking celestial navigation.
Sorry, yes, your last statement, I wish I'd interrupted 2 seconds later. Yes, used in celestial navigation, contextually spot on, right? However, I've got no issue with Protothad, for the sake of argument, going up to flat earthers who say, we know how high the sun is, it's local at X height. It's like, okay, here's a methodology that utilizes triangles with various sides that you could calculate for your height. So, based on that, here's my challenge that uses a proto-fallacy and assumes a flat earth to gain the elevation angles I'll present to you, and offer you up this second side challenge about the height to your sun, the distance to your sun, based on these measurements. So here's the triangle. Now give me your distance to the sun. What's wrong with that? If flatties are going around saying that it's 3,000 kilometres above our head, circling, then apparently it is, but I'm not going to ascribe a height on it. And Brian, you specifically, it really frustrates me when they start saying that you have, when they start misrepresenting Brian about being able to calculate the height to the sun when it's him explicitly that's gone through how you can't. That really frustrates me.
Yeah, no, it does. It annoys me too. But what I'm talking about, Nathan, and I appreciate you getting pissed off about that, is that what I'm talking about is they are continually online without a flat earther making any claims about the height of celestial bodies. They're continually claiming that on a flat earth, you would have to use the height of the celestial body, and asking flat earthers to solve for the height of these celestial bodies with their internal right angle triangles, using the internal angles and the lengths of the sides, right? Flat earthers aren't claiming anything to do with celestial navigation. We're just stating what celestial navigation states. But what the globers are trying to do is push this straw man onto us while they simultaneously try and hijack celestial navigation for themselves. That's what I'm talking about. Now, right. I'm totally on board with what you just said. Yeah, if some idiot flat earthers out there want to be stating the height of celestial bodies, I'm totally fine with Proto coming along and making a fool out of them. Totally.
Well, all we did was correctly define what celestial navigation says through their own books. And it says that the height of the object is irrelevant. And it's not even for that. It's the angular relationship.
Welcome Flat Earth Debate live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link together with a thanks button in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Now, we are joined by Arwin, distracting me, presumably in the introduction. Oh, it's Arwin and Chocolate, both joining right in the middle of my intro. We're also joined by Neil, 10th Man, Brian's Logic, the Adam Meakin, Refracted Curvature, and a whole bunch of people in Discord. So welcome one and all.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone.
Let's get it on.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good afternoon.
Morning.
Good morning.
I don't think
Panel.
I'm going to get straight into a housekeeping question so we can follow on what we were discussing in context on the live show with nobody who's of any understanding of what we were just discussing. Any evidence of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety?
Well, would airline pilots have any evidence of this?
If there was
Well,
the globe claim of Coriolis deflection at 15 degrees an hour, that would be us observing things seem to drift because we're turning beneath them. Then there would be no effect in a plane to account for other than their destination, if travelling west, arriving to them much, much, much sooner. But in terms of what they'd actually account for, there's nothing to account for. They just travel in a straight path. The ground is separate from what they are doing, turning beneath them if the globe claim of Coriolis effect is true. Turning beneath them so we can look up and go, oh, look, that plane looks like it's curving. And the guy next to you says, it's not really. The plane's travelling straight, but because Earth is turning beneath the plane, it seems to curve. That's Coriolis effect. Now, if that were true, and it's claimed to be true, then Earth's turning underneath aeroplanes, shortening their flight times.
Well, they take the word drift and apply it to Coriolis drift rather than winds.
Winds have nothing to do with Coriolis deflection. Again, Coriolis deflection is a not actual deflection. That means an apparent curved path that you observe as you turn beneath things. So for winds to be associated with Coriolis effect, they can only be associated if you're in them, turning, seeing things seem to take a curved path while you rotate in a wind. So no, the assertion that winds have anything to do with Earth-based Coriolis effect, the illusion observed as you turn beneath things, is preposterous and wrong.
you know you're
Sorry.
you're
So when
giving.
Hang on, John, let me finish this one out, if I may. So when we're on the ground and we see a hurricane, according to them, it has its path because the Earth is turning. But when you're above the hurricane with a high altitude picture looking down from on top of the hurricane, it's still turning in that direction, but you're off the Earth. What's going on there?
It's just because it's not occurring. So the claim, if you're going to say winds are associated, is that the wind is travelling straight in actuality, but appears to take a curved path because you turn beneath the wind that you're observing. Now, winds aren't something I tend to observe seeming to drift as I turn beneath them. Even if I'm on a roundabout, not once have I gone, check out how the wind's seeming to drift. No, it's absurd. But what you're saying is if they do, and they do, say Coriolis effect, which is an illusion, somehow has an influence on wind, as Danny Faulkner the idiot has stated incorrectly, then that would be the assertion that an illusion of drift causes winds to do things. That's not the case. Further to that, the assertion that they are moving straight, but we see them seeming to take a curved path is debunked by the fact that you've got weather station pictures showing them from above actually turning, not moving straight and only seeming to curve because Earth's rotating beneath them, as is claimed to be the case, with Coriolis deflection being the observation. Well, you're not going to observe that in wind. You observe it, or claim. The claim is that you observe it in things like bullets. that leave the ground and then Earth turns beneath them, or footballs that leave the ground and Earth turns beneath them, or aeroplanes that leave the ground and have Earth turning beneath them, shortening their flight times. Obviously, none of the above happens, even though it's claimed to. There'd be very severe consequences to all of the above if it was the case. We'd have shortened flight times when travelling west, because Earth would be turning under aeroplanes for us to observe Coriolis deflection in them. We don't. Earth's not turning.
Hey, by the way,
you
guys,
know,
Or extending
I was
flight
gonna say-
times. They were going out to the east. Oh, hold up. That doesn't happen. Actually, those flight times are actually less than going out to the west. That's weird because your destination would literally be going away from you. That's weird.
Well,
Hey,
I
Nathan.
was just going to say,
Hold on,
that,
Arwin.
it's
Hold on.
odd. No,
Go
I
ahead,
was-
John.
It's odd. You let them beg the question twice. One, that it's a sphere, and two, that it's a non-inertial turning reference frame, and they still can't make their point. I think it's the most pathetic position from the globe next to the molten iron core.
And why would that be, John?
Because there's no measurable radial value to Earth. It's a plane. It's demonstrated by sphere model angle measurements from the surface.
Right, there's no radial value to measure, and the one that they claim has been measured by way of a flat plane angle measurement, or a dip angle measurement to a claim to be geometric horizon we don't see. So there's no R value to assert Earth rotation, to assume Earth is turning beneath aeroplanes to shorten their flight times, which doesn't happen.
Oh dear.
You're just being negligent at your geometric considerations.
Oh, really? Any evidence of the R value, Arwin?
No, but I still wanted to bring up something about.
Hold on, you just
remember
accused me of being careless in my geometric consideration, so I asked for evidence of R. I think that's vigilant.
John, not you.
Fair enough.
But I was still gonna go on like the pilot situation. Remember that time when I brought up what is it, gyro compasses, right? And how the wiki page about it was so convoluted and weird, and like didn't make any sense. Well, Mark Sargent like posted a clip. Was it yesterday? I reposted it in Master B also about a commercial airline pilot that actually explained how, well, allegedly one of these devices broke down, and then like part of it, and then they still went halfway around the world, and they wouldn't get lost. So that was really interesting. Fits all together. Also with, remember the claim from the fake pilot guy about how airplanes supposed to correct for Coriolis deviation, which is preposterous, of course. Well, there is actually a device apparently that suggests it does that. So worth checking out the clip. It's like 8 minutes.
Sure, there's plenty of clips. Yes, check it out if you can post it in the live stream chat so people can check out Mark Sargent's clip in this regard. But yes, they do suggest it happens. They claim we've got Coriolis effect. They say Earth turns beneath us, stuff that's not attached, for us to observe it seem to drift at 15 degrees an hour. Of course, the consequences of that claim are that flights travelling west would have Earth turning beneath them, severely shortening their flight times. Flights travelling east on the equator would never reach their destination until it arrived behind them. That's what would happen many, many, many hours later. It's absurd. Earth isn't turning beneath anything. Any evidence of... what should we go on to next? What's the most appropriate? An elevation angle measurement acquisition from a curved baseline.
Impossible.
If you could, then all the people that believe we live on a sphere wouldn't keep telling us about tangent planes and horizontal planes and all these types of planes that shouldn't exist on a ball. So, yeah.
And they wouldn't be cutting the globe in half and going from the center of a flat Earth that's cut in half.
Plane. Yeah, that's my point.
Well, I have something new on that as far as Ruhif's concerned about it. He believes that using flat Earth angles and flat Earth celestial sphere models in celestial navigation proves the Earth's a sphere. And if I can't use a flat Earth model that's not the celestial sphere model to find my position, then it's a sphere, which it's the most insane position, but that's how he's trying to frame it. In that, if he can answer the question using a flat Earth model, it's a sphere.
Quite like the celestial sphere model that was used to match up the angles that you took off a flat plane and could only be acquired from a flat plane. Yeah, it's absolutely absurd. I just released a new shorts video in this regard, as we've just asked the question, so I may as well play it through. So that this goes against your sphere belief when you've already defined what it is and what it's used for.
No, it doesn't make any assumptions about the surface. I'm not sure where you're getting this from.
It's utilising the flat surface and you're drawing a parallel line out to that flat surface. Ipso facto, it is functionally flat.
Yeah, every plane you establish is going to be flat. That's a geometric fact.
Ipso facto, we are just factually navigating on a plane then.
Nathan, can you give a citation of a single manual for celestial navigation stating that we are navigating on a flat plane?
Quote, the elevation angle describes how the sun appears in the sky. The angle is measured between an imaginary line between the observer and the sun and the horizontal plane the observer is standing on. That's called NASA Shill Admits Earth is Navigated Flat, #shorts. Check it out, it's part of the shorts playlist. Oh no, it's not, I haven't added it yet. I will add it to the shorts playlist, which definitely check out. It's got lots of little 60-second videos like that with concise debunkings of their assertions. Or in this instance, a nice concise mission that we're measuring and navigating on a flat plane by NASA Shill.
Well, he asked
Great
for it.
welcome to Flat Earth moment.
Absolutely did get welcomed. Go on.
Because he asked you for a citation and you were able to provide him with one immediately. Did he ever come back with his citation that says that they use a globe
No,
for elevation angles? Did he ever do that?
he did not.
No. Oh, okay. Sorry.
It's because you can't get an elevation angle measurement from a curved baseline. Earth must be flat. It's a prerequisite for doing this type of navigation.
To Chocolate's point, I'll go after John. Go, John.
That's confusing from and to an angle from a curved baseline and an angle to a curved surface. Well, you don't have the angle to a curved surface anymore after you claim refraction. So that one goes out the window too. So you don't have an angle to a curved surface and you can't get an angle from a curved baseline.
Right.
Is
Refraction.
John breaking up or is it my end?
No, it's John. But we can make out 80-90% of what he's saying, which is fine. That's right. Their equivocation or their misapprehension that they can still utilise a straight line to the physical geometric sphere edge horizon formerly known as Earth curve. We debunked it in 2020 with the Black Swan. Is there any new evidence of a physical geometric sphere edge horizon? Is it no Atmo Day? Where's Earth curve? That's a housekeeping question, by the way.
In celestial navigation, and we've cited it already many times, the two imaginary planes is the rational horizon, which is the equatorial plane, the Earth cut in half, and the sensible horizon, an imaginary plane extending from the eye of the observer in a horizontal fashion all the way to the celestial sphere. Well, basically no distance or to infinity, as they say. That's supposed to match that same imaginary plane if you were to cut a circle in half. So they stack up one above each other with a protractor in between because you just cut a circle in half. Now, they are saying that they're imaginary. If we live on the globe, why are they imaginary? Well, because on the globe you have a curved surface. And you can't get an angle from a curved surface. So they have to resort back to reality and get the angle from the Earth's surface, which is not curved. And you see how convoluted it is.
Absolutely. Shout out to Godzilla. He says, I heard Chocolate saying Arwen is the 10th man. Neil Adam looked confused, but I just sighed and said, Oakley dokley. Okay, thank you for the super chat. Really appreciate the support, Godzilla. Thank you. Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
Pie?
Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
Well, there's an angular size which is impossible on a globe. So we have an angular size to work off of. Now we can back calculate the sun to be any size or distance we want off that angular size. But the only measurement of the sun we have is that angular size. We have no measurement to the sun, just an angular size of the sun, no measurement of the actual size of the sun. So no, we have no idea how far the sun is. All we do know is that the sun cannot have an angular size on a globe because perspective and angles don't exist on a globe Earth, as per the globe mathematics.
Any scientific evidence of gravity?
Wait, hang on.
Oh, okay. Got to get in there quicker.
Well, I'm slow. I'm old. So when I see perspective in my views, like telephone poles or railroad tracks, that can only exist outside of a globe Earth then, right, Brian?
Well, you can't. Once you see any perspective at all, Tint, if you can see something getting smaller with distance, if you see any perspective, any visual effect, it means that we're not on a globe.
Yeah, but we do. That's life. Even the globers have to admit things get smaller at a distance.
Not time if those street lights are setting. Definitely.
Oh, they're going over a curve.
Well, they have to be. They have to be going down over a curve. Otherwise, because if they're not going down over a curve, then we're not on a globe.
Sensible.
Gives a whole.
Sorry, Theo Megawerty, thanks for the super chat. It's a sensible, rational horizon. What about absurd horizon? That's Earth curve. Thanks for the super chat.
That would be the horizon you don't see, being that a horizon is defined as something you do see. That horizon.
Horizon we don't see is Earth curve.
Yeah, that's it.
That's only one. There's only one horizon we don't see. All the rest of them, imaginary, are described and defined as such. Earth curve is physical, claimed to be blocking your view of boats and buildings, and geometric in nature, and we cannot see it. It's not seen. That's the only horizon that's not seen, because it's claimed to be. Horizons, by definition, are apparent. You'd see them. We've only got one horizon. The demarcation point between the land and the sky, or the sea and the sky. That's the horizon. It's not a geometric physical limitation to your view called Earth curve. We debunked that in 2020.
I just heard Neil deGrasse Tyson say boats fall over that. That proves Earth is a sphere.
Boats fall over their horizon, doesn't it? Isn't that absurd? Isn't it just ironic that when we're this far into the discussion, we finally realise that we were asked to prove or justify how boats were falling over a pizza pie in a sky vacuum, a la the Flat Earth Society model with a boat falling over a disc in space. Well, in reality, the reason we were asked to justify boats falling off the edge of a disc is because globe Earth has boats falling over the edge called Earth curve. And then you qualify with maths how much it's fallen over it. So you have boats falling over the horizon, very literally and physically. Yeah, of course we debunked it and now we're told we don't see Earth curve. It's never going to be seen.
Only anti-flat earthers are saying that. It was good to hear that Neil deGrasse is sticking to scripture and reaffirming the gospel of Bill Nye, that it does go over a physical curve, and that is why ships disappear from the hull up.
Yes, it's nice.
Well, he's not a heretic, right?
No, he's not a heretic. He's fronting the main rhetoric, and it's nice to oppose the main rhetoric, because when Neil deGrasse Tyson, as is detailed a couple of times now, describes boats falling over the edge of the globe Earth, we can say black swan. Horizon's not a physical limitation to your view called Earth curve, Mr. Tyson. If the Earth was a sphere with a radius of 3959, then every distance to that physical geometric limitation called Earth curve could be no more than 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet, as per your globe Earth mathematics that claim it's a physical hill in the way. And here's the black swan image showing the horizon beyond the limitations of a geometric sphere edge called Earth curve. Bye-bye Earth curve. Bye-bye sphere Earth. Bye-bye Earth curve radius. Bye-bye globe.
And bye Neil deGrasse Tyson, who seems to be stuck under the bus that he's been thrown under since this discussion came upon us.
I don't know that he
Poor
has.
guy.
You got a late chocolate. Well, in the pre-show we were talking about whether or not the people who oppose us, anti-flat earthers, appreciate that they're in the same pond as us. And like several years ago when we were going, oh no, that's a difficult question to get around, this observation does match the begging the question, proof of nothing perspective, hijacking Earth curve calculator. What is a flat earther to do? Stress and sleepless nights. Well, now we've got nice examples posted to me personally, completely reactive. I can talk about Wolfie and his pain that he's having to share about the Coriolis deflection that he can't account for in his plane and claims that he can. And now he's stressed about it. And contacting me via PayPal or Patreon or whatever it is he's giving me money via after I handed his ass to him with his misapprehensions about illusions being accounted for in planes. Well, they're going through that stress now, aren't they, Chocolate?
Yeah, it's so stressful. He talks about a nice raise he got, then he shares it with you. That's cute.
Yeah. But my point is that he doesn't appreciate that he's in the same pond as us. Yeah? Oh, wow, I just got $100 super chat from James Williams. Thank you so much. Really appreciate the support.
Shout out to James.
Wolfie doesn't appreciate that he's in the same pond as us. He's just as dangerous as us because he doesn't agree with the globe rhetoric. Yeah? He doesn't agree. He's a heretic. He's not claiming Earth turns underneath the plane for us to see it seem to drift, aka Coriolis effect. He's saying the plane accounts for it. So there won't be any to see, even though it's an illusion only observed from the ground. He's got misapprehensions about what the globe claims in the first instance, and he's going against it with his own narrative. Well, that's cognitively painful, and he's sharing that with us, and that's nice of him. Thank you, Wolfie. I've been there. I understand.
Arguably, he's actually more dangerous than us because he's not being censored too much.
Yeah. Well, no. That's an illusion also. While we might have thought we were reaching the world because we reached the top of the list if you typed in Flat Earth on YouTube, does that mean that we were reaching the world? No. A little bit of love bombing from YouTube doesn't mean we're reaching the world. We reached a small handful of it. And that small handful went out and maybe discussed it on other platforms that were a bit more mainstream. That's what actually happened in 2014, 2015, 2016, and then they censored us, right? And they replaced that same love bombing perceived reaching the world. They gave it to somebody else. But it's the same corner of the dark internet over here that nobody's looking at for the most part, unless they've already gone into that pond. If they're already typing Flat Earth, they're already a certain way along the journey. So they can funnel them to the pond. And they're all part of it. They were all on that journey. So they all got funneled into the same pond to keep them away from the normal people.
Nathan, I've got 2 slides of Masterby after Brian.
You got it, Nathan. Check it out.
Three people. Hold on. I had Brian first. Got 3 people talking at me. I just want to shout out Godzilla before we figure out who's going to be talking next. Shout out to Godzilla, who shouts out James. Support what you like to a whole new level. Yeah, man. $100 is a big amount of money. Thank you very much. And thank you, Godzilla.
Even 100 Canadian dollars.
100 Canadian dollars. I take it all back, James. No money.
Still 64.
It's a lot of money. Thank you. Anyway, let's not dwell on this. Brian had a point to make.
Yeah, I won't be too long. I know John wants to go.
Can I read?
Sasha, you can after Brian. Go ahead. I know Arwen's got something to get in as well, Sasha, but you're in the queue.
No, I don't.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yesterday.
Arwen just wants to interrupt everything and make it inaudible.
No, I just wanted to interrupt so you could shout out the super chats.
Oh, right. You were aware. I can see it all. I've got a 1440p monitor now rather than a 1080p one, and I can fit the chat on it. I can fit everything.
Let's get on with it. What's going on here?
I know. Go on, Brian.
Yeah. Yesterday, I got a notification from Mark Sargent, and I had seen, it was a video, he was uploading a video he had uploaded in the past. And supposedly a commercial pilot contacted him. Now, this is not going to matter too much, but it's interesting that it's out there. I forgot about this. This commercial pilot said he was flying a 6-hour flight, and there was a problem with a part on the internals of his ring laser gyroscope, right? And so what this part supposedly corrects for rotation, right? This was the claim. And the Coriolis effect and all this other rubbish that they think they're correcting for. But the pilot just flew normal for the 6 hours, and there was no difference. He didn't have to correct for anything. He didn't have to do anything, and his co-pilot didn't have to do anything. And they just got to their destination.
Actually,
and he went to find out.
Before you expand on that, we have actually covered it already. Owen covered it earlier. But yes, we've also.
Oh, did he? Owen already spoke about this
yes.
Mark Sargent video, did he?
Yeah, literally right at the beginning of the show.
Sorry, I was away.
No, it's fine.
Okay,
it's right. No, having it reiterated and re-stressed is useful. You know, especially as we've got. Although it's from yesterday's show, I'll change the thumbnail as I usually do when the show ends. But the thumbnail currently for this live show says "Share your pain, Wolfie" or something to that effect, and it's appropriate.
Well, yeah, it's directly connected to him because what it was is this man contacted Honeywell, who make the ring laser gyros, and it turns out this part is provided to Honeywell by another company. The Honeywell don't open or mess with this part. When there's a problem, they just switch the part out, and the part is sent back. The broken part is sent back to this other company, and there is no proof that it does anything, because this pilot was saying he wasn't a flat earther. He said there's something wrong here. How could I be flying normal without this part and not have to correct for anything? And that was his point. So Wolfie and other people who are pilots who are claiming that the avionics of the plane corrects for the rotation of the Earth, right, which is complete nonsense. That claim is coming from a belief that this part is doing something. But there's no evidence this part is doing something, and this part is something that would be in planes only in recent times. When I say recent, within the past 20 years maybe or something. Where was it back 30, 40 years ago? It wasn't there. How did they fly back in World War II? You know, it's nonsense, but I just said I'd throw that in there.
Well, if it's correcting for it, what it's supposed to be correcting for is the turn of the Earth underneath the aeroplane. Well, if you're travelling west, that shortens the flight time. So Charlotte, North Carolina to Los Angeles, 4.5 hour flight with Earth turning beneath at 15 degrees an hour would mean you'd only take an hour and a half to get there. That's what it's supposed to be correcting for. What does it do? Slow you right down so you arrive in the same time? It's absurd.
Well, I was just thinking the same thing. So how does it adjust if it's coming closer to you?
Yeah.
We didn't hear any of that.
He was just confirming it. It's absurd. He said, how could it be adjusting it for you if what you're adjusting for is the ground coming, the thing you're travelling to coming to you? You know, there's no adjustment for that. When travelling west, the reason QE picked that example with Charlotte, North Carolina to Los Angeles is because it's basically a straight line on either model. So there's no drift up and down or anything else. You've just got LA coming towards you about 800 miles an hour. So what does that mean? Well, it means that you're going to have a massively reduced flight time. Not that you need some clever gadget in a gyro to account for it. It just means the flight time gets shorter because Earth's claimed to turn underneath at 15 degrees an hour. It's just that simple. Now, does that happen?
Yeah,
No, it doesn't.
Well, technically, it would be even shorter. And the reason I say that is the plane's flight from North Carolina to Los Angeles is a straight line. So QE is just calculating it off of a linear distance based off of a linear speed that is taken from the latitude of Los Angeles and North Carolina, Charlotte, North Carolina. But in reality, that Los Angeles would be rotating around on a latitude line, right? So the plane would meet Los Angeles, but it would actually cut across an arc. So it would actually be shorter. It could even be up to an hour from Charlotte, North Carolina to Los Angeles, because it wouldn't have to travel that full distance, that full straight line distance between those 2 points, Because even with Los Angeles coming towards it, it's not coming towards it in a straight line, it's coming towards it in an arc, right? So it would just have to make a chord of that arc.
Yeah, no,
so
I get it. I get it. I totally get it.
An hour.
But in either event, there's going to be a shortened flight time. And Brian's point stands, if you're going to claim that it's rotating around on the outside edge of a sphere with a room velocity of about 800 miles an hour, then it's going to carry on that exact fixed spherical path that it's got to travel. And your plane doesn't have to do that. It doesn't have to track with the curved Earth. Now, they say that it does, but they also say it accounts with gravity for the ground dropping away from you. So if you've got this effect of it claim to be accounting for Earth turning beneath the plane, and claim to be physically adjusting it through a gravitational non-force force that you can think of as a force that means that the plane doesn't have to dip down but still moves its way around a spherical surface, then you can severely reduce the flight time. Now, none of these things happen, but that's what they claim. They claim we have Coriolis effect. They claim Earth turns under planes. It's just that simple. Doesn't, we'd notice.
Gravity, what's that?
Hold on, John's going to point out that we beg the question. Go ahead. Go on, John. And then we've got Sasha.
To say, interestingly enough, even if you did observe things seeming to drift, it couldn't be a Coriolis effect because we're not a non-inertial reference frame.
Absolutely. What John's saying is, even if we did see things seem to drift, well, unless we assume Earth is a non-inertial turning reference frame turning beneath stuff, you haven't got any evidence to suggest that it is, then you're just begging the question. You've not actually established the cause of what you might observe drifting. Things might drift. But is that caused by Earth turning beneath? No. Have you validated it? No. Are you going to assume that that's the cause if you see anything that you can associate with that effect that you claim Earth has? That's Coriolis drift. Yeah, they do. They say bullets drift because Earth turned beneath them. They say footballs drift because Earth turned beneath them. They say gyros drift because Earth turns beneath them at 15 degrees an hour. That's what they say. So any small, minor drift that they perceive, they say, oh, that's because Earth turned beneath it. Oh, really? So the Earth's turning beneath that aeroplane? No, it isn't. No, that's just nonsense. That's just you looking at a ball and saying, look at that curved ball. Oh, that curve, that could be called Coriolis because Earth's turning beneath it. It isn't. It's short flight times. Go on, Sasha.
Okay, I have an appeal. You have one person called Adracadabra, and he wrote this. Do I see this correctly? Only flat earthers are allowed to speak in this stream, or is it a selected panel? How exactly would that become a debate? And that's not fair, Nathan. Can you give that person possibility to speak, because we are only listening flat earthers what they are thinking? Can we hear
panel.
him? What
sure, I'll address that. It's an open panel. So if you look on the Discord stream, if you join the Discord server, there's live stream queue. So for the live show, I have a limited amount of space because I want to keep an eye on all of you little sods making rumpusing like Sasha's doing. I can see him doing it. Right? I'm answering you.
Nathan,
hold on, Sasha.
Nathan, I will go out.
No, you don't have to, Sasha. Just pay attention while I answer you. So there's a live stream queue that sits above the live stream in the Discord server. You can join this room. I will notice and just move you in, even if the room is over capacity, which it currently is. So there's 16 people, there should only be 13 people. That's fine. It can go up as large as I like. I just have to know and move you in. Now, if there are people in here that I haven't unmuted, I'm really sorry, because I haven't been paying attention. But beyond that,
and then, okay, and then I make for him, because I don't want to chat there to write, he can prove the globe live, you know. He don't need to write, you know.
Yeah, you can join. It's a public show. There's a link. I say it every intro.
Yeah.
I don't specifically make it clear that you can join the live stream queue if the room's full, but that's a bit of a mouthful to get through in about 35 seconds. So, yeah, there's a live stream queue. If you want to join,
Nathan,
you can.
Nathan, I've been waiting in queue. Are you drifting for me?
Sorry. Was there anybody else? Was there anybody else that I can insert before 10th man just to take the piss? Go ahead, 10th man.
Please go to Master B.
Okay.
With the black and white. Adjustment of the Sexton mirrors, you see that?
I may interject.
Yes. It's on for the live audience.
You can wait. Nice one. All right, so you can see that you have a sextant here, the adjustment of the index mirror, and it's got two arrows if you look to the right of the picture. You can see the direct and reflected arcs are not aligned. The mirror is not 90 degrees off the frame and needs to be adjusted. You can see that offset. If you look below, the direct and reflected arcs are aligned. The index mirror is 90 degrees off the frame at this point. So these are some of the mechanical adjustments you do. All right, so that's got to be set. Go to the next one. The next one shows the horizon mirror. First one was the index mirror. Same thing. So you sight the horizon and it's not set properly. So you got to adjust it. So horizon mirror needs to be adjusted for altitude error with the top screw. Figure 223, horizon mirror adjusted for altitude error. And you see a nice level horizon. Go below. The horizon mirror needs to be adjusted for side error with the side screw. And then you see it adjusted. Now, why is this important? The section measures the altitude or vertical angle to celestial body using the horizon as the baseline for calculating positions. That's why it's important. Go to the last slide. After all that, do you expect it to work on this picture?
No, you've got a box drawn on this picture. It makes it explicitly clear which line they're talking about from the boat along the baseline to a perceived horizon seen by this boat wherever along this line it sees it. You can't depict it because it's in orthographic view, side on. In the previous depictions, this is not a side-on Muppet Vision representation. This is what your eyeball actually sees, or the photographer actually sees with the camera. Photographer. This picture is Muppet Vision, side of your own head. Suddenly we're way away from where we're actually taking this observation of an angle to the sky and a baseline using the horizon. Horizon's been removed. Now, typically in Muppet Vision, the horizons claim to be this point here. This would be the geometric limitation of a hill getting in your way called Earth curve. Of course, that causes a very real problem if you're establishing a flat baseline to measure this angle, which is what's done. There it is, GP with a square box showing that it's definitely this line, not this one.
As Brian has shared before, that chord cutting through the arc of this presupposed sphere that doesn't exist, because they're always begging the question, is a shorter distance than the arc itself. The section would never be as described as if it's done properly. You could be less than a half a mile away from your destination. You'd be so off because after all the attempts and successfully adjusting it to get a true 90, to hold it vertical over a baseline, the horizon is the baseline. And when you go swinging it back and forth, that's just so that you can see just as it skims the surface on the vertical so that you can get your right angle. That's what it's used for. And if it's on a presupposed globe, then the distance would be the chord, which of course doesn't make sense, but you'd be off every time. So it's just the tool in its adjustments destroy the ball earth.
Shout out to Retro Bill, who says, let's not forget that objects travelling along the ground reference frame experience the lesser known effect as, quote, hamster ball effect, end quote. Thanks for the super chat, Retro Bill. Also, thanks, Phuket Word, really appreciate it. Also, Divergent Droid, I did get your email, I did read it through carefully. I'm probably not going to get a chance to respond to you in typey type, but you also said in yesterday's chat you wanted to join and just talk to us about it. So if you can, that'd be absolutely fantastic. If not, I'll have to respond to the email for typing, which is something that's difficult to do for me for various reasons. Anyway,
D is ace.
He is. He's just got a lot of great ideas, and yeah, I don't want him to go by the wayside just because I'm useless at responding to emails. But I wanted to let him know verbally I have seen it. Sorry to talk about in stuff while we're live. Any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics?
Nah.
They could, but they don't.
If they could, they would, but they can't, so they don't.
Arwen said they could. Could they?
Potentially, you can't really exclude, right? They might
What would
figure
be
out
their what would be their independent variable?
something about the celestial lights.
That's the phenomena.
But
That's
that-
dependent.
An effect within. I don't know. I'm not
Yeah, but
saying
see,
it's like, oh
that's what we
man,
need. I
why
don't
don't
know.
they just do it? It was all there all
No.
along. All these
It's a throwaway
hypotheses
comment
they
that he
just
didn't expect to be
grab.
quizzed on.
No, I don't know.
Okay, that's
I
all we
don't
need.
have
I don't
Well,
know. We can
If you
move
don't know
on.
them, why are you saying that you do?
Yeah, Arwen. Get him, Brian. Get him.
I said that they could. Very likely they
That's
could.
a positive
They just
statement,
never
though.
do.
That's a positive statement. I mean, your question about you said, I don't know. That means that your statement holds no weight.
Well, I can very much imagine that if they would have the green light or even the command to do it, that they would. It's just not part of their program.
Well,
Wait a second. You're saying that they could?
Yeah.
If they were
Yeah.
given a green light?
Well, not within their
don't need it.
cosmology model. Let's
There
just
it
say
is.
it like that. But
There it is. There it
that
is.
doesn't mean-
Let him repeat that. That's the only worthwhile thing he said so
they
far.
can't do it within their cosmology model because it's all fictional and unproven. So that can't work.
Right.
But
So
they
Let's do it anyway.
concerning the celestial light, which is really their field, right?
Let's just summarise that beautiful point that Arwen just made. So within the field of cosmology or astrophysics, they can't, because they can't formulate an independent variable in a fantasy land. You can't suppose the cause of the gas lamp burning in Narnia because it's a fantasy realm. Likewise, the heliocentric realm describing gas balls burning in sky vacuums is a fantasy realm. So there's no formulation of independent variables to establish the cause of the effects that they've ascribed with just so stories, because they're just so stories have to stand first. Well, their presuppositions of gas balls burning in sky vacuums is a violation of natural law. It's not going to yield any independent variables for a viable hypothesis. Thank you, Arwen.
You're welcome. And you made a good point, actually, because, yeah, now I realize that it's like I'm almost straw manning the housekeeping question when I say that, because I'm saying, like, no, these people could do a valid hypothesis. It's just that their field, which is kind of the thing you're naming, within that field, they can't. So I basically shouldn't say they could anymore, because you are specifying the field, and within that field, they could not.
Within any field, you can't. It's wrong on all accounts. If your effect
in those
is
fields,
lights in the sky, how do you prove a cause to that? You can't get there. You don't know what they are. You can't assert a cause to anything like that.
Well, as long as you work with the really is level, then there is always an option that at some point you could. But as soon as you enter a fictional medium that's based on disproven presuppositions, then you could never do it.
Yeah, but you're appealing to the future now. It's like, if we got to know what they were, then we could assert. It's like, hang on, we're talking about right now. Right now, we see lights in the sky. We don't know what they are. We don't know how they got there. We don't know how they do what they do. We just know that we see them do it. That's all we know.
But you can figure it out, and you can
Yeah.
figure out what is,
How?
and then get a
All
wide
right,
spectrum data about how the
Yeah,
what
but
is.
data is not a scientific hypothesis in the natural
I'm not saying
world.
it is, but with data collection does come potential insights of how there is a causal relationship, right? I'm not being specific. I'm just saying it could be, but you have to be and stay within the really is level.
Okay,
Then you could.
Yeah, hold on. He's already disclaimed that they can't within the heliocentric model, so we've gone back to it just so you can have a bit of validity in this. But there is no validity because you've already disclaimed you can't do this outside of the fantasy and still provide real-world evidence, aka a physically manipulatable variable. You can't do that within the heliocentric paradigm. Shout out to Sasha, who's on the panel, who says, where is curvature in reality? Abracadabra. I'm sorry, I don't understand your question. Can you try phrasing it more accurately?
Hey, Arwen, in your little dialogue here with Brian, are you assuming the Earth is a sphere all along?
Thanks for the super chat, Sasha.
No, I'm realizing that my attempt at being a smartass by saying they could was actually a straw man all along. And I'm realizing that now, so I'm going to stop saying that unless you specifically ask me to say
Fine.
that.
Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
Maybe one day. No, just kidding. Definitely not.
They could.
Yeah, I think in this case they could not. Because it's the presupposition of the sphere is already in there, and yeah, the horizon is not geometric, so it's never going to happen.
Any evidence you can have gas pressure without the necessary antecedent of a container to press upon?
Well, maybe one day. No.
That's back to your hypothesis, though. When you say that they might be able to, I know you've already disclaimed it, and thank you for doing so. You're a lot more conciliatory these days, Arwen. It's nice, I've got to be honest. Anyway, have you considered what their phenomena is when they describe it in the heliocentric model? I mean, stars. Because they're burning balls of gas in a vacuum, aren't they?
Well, that's technically not their phenomenon, but that is what they claim the phenomenon is. And thereby they don't even understand the true nature of the word phenomenon within the context of physics.
They've already decided what it is. You know,
Exactly, that's not a
what
phenomenon,
appears to
man.
us as a light in the sky at night time. Well, they've got a little story that goes along with it that violates natural law.
Right, and thereby they bypass even what phenomenon is within the context of physics, because a phenomenon is a perceivable thing. Like, it is the perception that is the phenomenon, not an entire model that you think it is, you see?
Shout out to Godzilla37. He says the last super chat was not from Sasha. Unitox Femu is Sasha. But thanks for the super chat, Godzilla. I think that's it. Have we covered all the housekeeping questions? I believe so.
R?
Yeah, we covered R.
Okay.
Point out though that a thing is not a phenomenon. Something happening is a phenomenon.
Yeah. The light appearing in the sky at night time, that would be a phenomena. A
Right.
star.
So phenomena is not going to be something that you're not actually perceiving, but that you just assume about something that you're perceiving. See?
No, that's their explanation for what it is. And what is questions, as opposed to how why questions are outside the scientific method also. But my point was that you've got a just so story about what it is that has to fit within their cause and effect relationship that they'll try and establish. But there's no necessity to establish any cause and effect relationship because their what is story encompasses the cause and effect. What is a star in the heliocentric model? Well, it's a burning ball of gas in a sky vacuum. Okay, well, that automatically explains, with a spherical Earth turning presupposition also, what it is and what it does and why it does it. Now, what is actually apparent? Little twinkly lights appear at night. That's what we've got. Now, there's no just so story that needs to be slapped on alongside that to describe that as being a dependent variable. It is. But have we established the cause of that independent variable with an independent variable? No, we have not. And we may never do that. But they've already got all the answers, haven't they, within a just so story?
Well, when they describe the stars appearing at night, they don't describe it that way.
Godzilla says,
They
I
say
chat
Earth
corrected.
turn.
Like, I stand corrected. Thanks for the further super chat. Sorry, John.
Say that they don't describe it as the stars appearing at night. They describe it as the Earth turning so that the sun goes behind the horizon and then we're able to see the stars.
Correct. So, yes, their description of what the stars are, alongside a presupposition of a turning Earth, gives them a physical geometric sphere-edge horizon called Earth curve at the horizon to block the view of the stars as the Earth is presumed to rotate beneath them. That's Coriolis effect. So the cause and effect of what I would call a light appearing in the sky as a phenomena, their causal attribution comes from Earth turn, a presupposition thereof that requires a radius value that they haven't got and has been debunked, and required a flat plane to establish. So all of their just so stories lead to presuppositional cause and effect relationships, in this case Earth turn, underneath the stars causes them to seem to drift at 15 degrees an hour. That's also Coriolis effect, a globe claim that is universal and would happen always to things like aeroplanes if it was true. We covered that already in the previous part of the live show. But ultimately that does establish a cause and effect relationship. You can just turn around and ask them to validate their claim just so story with its causal attribution to this effect, aka Earth turning, to be validated. Now, can they? No. Of course not. Because it isn't science. It was a little story they made up.
Well said.
Got a few more videos coming out, as I said yesterday, and one came out today, which has been promoted already, I believe, but NASA shill admits Earth is navigated flat. Hashtag shorts. Played it right at the beginning of the live show. But if you're just joining us, there's over 100 people watching, so big shout out to all the people who are watching live. Thank you very much for joining us. Please share the show if you've not done so already. There's a good chance that the people who have joined us, the over 100 people watching live right now, are only here because people have shared the show. So it's become more and more abundantly clear that this show isn't even reaching the subscribers of the channel at the moment, for whatever reason. I don't know. Lots of screwery going around, getting 1,000 likes and then getting people kicked off from the premiering streams and the bit rate or bandwidth being limited, all kinds of stupid nonsense that I'm having to endure. And it just makes me want to shout out all the people I get support from, like today. Yes, this show's not going to do huge numbers because it's not being shared with anybody, but there's still 100 people here, and then I know exactly why that is. So thank you very much to all of you who smashed the share button today. Really, really, really appreciate it. We have still got 5 minutes left on this live show, by the way.
So what do you expect?
Can I just
hang on real quick? What do you expect an act of Congress and archaic labeling under your show to result into? What do you expect?
That's just part of it, isn't it? The tramp stamp is just part of it for if any cursory people accidentally stumble across the video, or in the case of it being shared with them, they can't control that, but they can still put a tramp stamp on the video for when they arrive here, so they get an immediate first impression of what they're going to be presented with. That's all that's for. Very powerful too.
Could I just make a correction there? And I don't want to be too asinine about it, but it's important. You said the globe doesn't have a radius value. That's not correct. They do have a radius value, but they don't have a radius measurement. And their value comes from flat Earth elevation angles to Polaris.
Good correction.
Which is an angular mate.
Yeah, very good correction. So what Brian's saying is, to assert that they don't have any radius value would be to assert that you can't just look at what's the radius value of Earth. You can. They haven't got a radius measurement. You can't measure Earth's radius because it doesn't have one.
No, it's a direct back calculation of angular measurements. And angular measurements are measurements of perspective, and perspective only does not exist on a globe Earth. All the maths for a globe Earth or orthographic maths that hijack perspective. What the globe's radius value is a back calculation of is flat Earth elevation angles to Polaris. That's what it is. I have shown these maths. I spoke about them. They're all there, and I have it down to the decimal places. That's how precise I am. That's where their globe radius value comes from. There is no measurement.
Even though they're just, like you said, back calculations of flat Earth elevation angles, are they accurate back calculations of flat Earth elevation angles? Like, do we actually have a geometric horizon at 1.2 miles away off a 1 foot observer height?
No.
Does that happen?
No.
So even they're yeah, go ahead.
No, their geometric horizon is a mathematical horizon that's more back calculation from the radius value that they back calculated from flat Earth elevation angles to Polaris. The same is true for their drop rate, their 8 inches per mile squared. That's more back calculation from the back calculation, which is the radius value that came from flat Earth elevation angles to Polaris.
So we got back calculations.
Yeah, we've got back calculations. Polaris is a drop rate. It's an apparent angular drop rate, which is a perspective drop rate, right? They back calculated it all the way orthographically for it to be claimed to be an 8 inches per mile squared drop rate for the observer. But that 8 inches per mile squared drop rate is taking a geometric horizon into account. So something that is only in the maths, admittedly. And how could it ever not be only in the maths? Because the whole thing is a back calculation.
Shout out to Hillside, who says, good morning from Atlanta, Georgia. Good morning to you. Thanks for the super chat. Absolutely,
Hey,
Brian.
good morning,
They needed a flat Earth. You're in Georgia, aren't you, Chocolate?
Yes, sir. Good morning, neighbor.
Yeah, they needed a flat Earth. They took a flat Earth, they measured a flat Earth, and they invented a globe. Now, this is obviously how it's got to be. You know, it can't be any other way. Earth is flat. They have transposed that flat Earth measurement into a spherical belief system about the ground curving away from you and gravity being a force that you can't experience and isn't really a force and exists in pseudo-force space. As a result, you can have people antipodal from your position hanging off the bottom of a ball. It's all nonsense. But it all had to come from somewhere, and it came from measurements of a flat plane.
Just on that, I missed most of yesterday's show, but 10th introduced the word offing. And there's a lot to come from it. But you know me, I like to go back and look at the meanings of words, and it's a now defunct word. We don't use it anymore. But if you look up the original meaning, it's where the phrase "in the offing" comes from. You know, there's certain things that are in the offing. It means they're going to appear soon, but just the straight noun of offing, the more distant part of the sea in view. So to me, it's a recognition that that line is the rest of the sea on the flat plane. It's still in view. It's there. It's in the offing. It's not resolvable yet.
In the offing, as in the circle of confusion, in the horizon itself. Wow.
Yeah. But
that's nice.
It still recognizes it as a flat plane, the more distant part of the sea in view. So it's not a curve that it's fell over. That later definition of the offing is used when they stick a dingleberry on it. But to me, that seems to be the nature of the phrase, because it's something that's coming up imminent. But in the more descriptive noun of it, it's to me it's stating the more distant part of the sea in view.
Perfect. With that, I'm going to say, if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering streams, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, if you are watching this live, this is where we bid you farewell. A huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you who smashed the super chat, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, hit the PayPal and thanks button, and all that good stuff. Another massive thank you to today's Discord and G+ panels for making today's live show possible. Once again, stay tuned if you're watching on either the Premiering streams. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.
See, whenever you talk about offering plate, everybody goes quiet.
You are offering plate.
No, I made a pun while you were transitioning.
Oh, okay.
Offering super chats.
Hey, you should collect an offering, Nathan. You should say daily offering.
I do. That's what the super
I
chat
think
is.
he's got a
That's
lot
what
of super
that's
chats.
what the super chat is. It's an effective bowl that goes around the audience. That's right. That's what it is.
Therefore, the pun.
Indeed.
But the pun is just a bonus you can put on the plate with your super chat, like Godzilla likes to do. And Unit Talks Fam, win all of them.
Is Divergent Droid with us? He is. Hello.
Hello, I'm kind of with you.
Oh, don't worry. If you're tied up at the minute, just let us know when you're free to talk.
No, I'm just getting my mic turned on. Not even sure it was working, but now it's confirmed. Thank you.
Yeah, I got your email. Great ideas about adverts sharing and various different things. The first question I already answered, you said who not to do it with. Well, anybody.
Right.
And there's no, aside from anti-flat earthers, which I think you'd realise that, there isn't anybody. So if you came to me and went, Bob Nodell said he'll do an advert show with you, I'd be like, fantastic, that's great news. And so that there's no, well, why aren't you again? No, quite the contrary. Think of meerkats, right? If you look at them, or when they're filmed on TV, because I've only seen them in captivity, but they all fight. They're all rolling around fighting with each other until they hear something, and suddenly they all prick their ears up and all look in the same direction. As one. Well, this is one of those circumstances. The minor disagreements that Bob Nodell and I have had are inconsequential when it comes to us as meerkats pointing in one line together. So, from that point of view, maybe he would be the best person to approach to make that very point. So, Nathan wants to do an advert swap with you. He wants to promote what you do on Globebusters to other flat earthers, and vice versa, hopefully. Why not? We're all on the same team in that regard. The minor differences that we have internally aren't relevant to an overall audience that we're all, if we want to think in that vein, want to reach. In that regard, we're on the same ship heading in the same direction, are we not?
That's right.
So from that point of view,
we're all boats
anybody.
of a fleet, and we might be running into one another and inner conflicts, but in the end, we are that fleet. We still have a singular mission on the long run.
Exactly. Like the in the Matrix, when they're arguing about whether or not the Nebuchadnezzar should be given up against the fight against the machines. It's a ship, it's important, it should be on the front lines, not going out, doing some crazy mission, looking for the one. Right? Well, that's an argument internally, an internal struggle. Doesn't mean that the overall war is trying to be won in this analogy. And everyone in that regard is all on the same side. They all want the same thing.
Sounds good to me. I did bring up, we could just do this thing where, we could ask people just to share your videos, or perhaps we could create a trailer swap system for everybody so that everybody could participate equally in it. It wouldn't be unbalanced in any way. I don't know what you think about that idea. But, I'd really like to get these trailer swaps started. Because I think the community as a whole needs it. We all need to grow. YouTube is throwing everything they can at us to keep us down, to censor us. And we really need to combat those numbers in whatever way we can.
Yeah, I know, I totally agree. There wasn't anything that I saw in your email that I thought, no, definitely don't like that. I mean, there was stuff that I saw that I was like, oh, that'll be work, because you were like, I want you to do a video about each of the housekeeping questions, which is something that I've been asked for millions of times, and it's never come to fruition in an artistic way that I've managed to fathom and do efficiently. But it's certainly something that's in the forefront of my mind. There was a couple of other things that I thought, no, that'll just involve me doing stuff, i.e. working, but that's what I do, so it's not like, I'm objecting to that in any way, far from it. There was one other thing that I did want to discuss with you in person, though, that I couldn't phrase a response to. I can't remember. But yeah, the trailer swap's the main thing, right? Oh yeah, 5 or 6 people to brainstorm. I've just got your email back up. Here we are doing it. This is that. That's why I was keen to get you to just join, because having lots of other people, not just 5 or 6 around, going, yeah, this is the idea. I voiced it a while ago, and Divergent Drawings obviously gone, yeah, good idea. Let's just do advert swaps. You know, there's going to be a section of my audience that is not subscribed to, let's keep it internal just for the examples, Arwin. So for that reason, I promote Arwin. Arwin picks up some of my subs. Simple. Well, if Arwin produces an advert for Arwin, and I play that advert for Arwin on my channel, likewise so does Ballbusters and whoever else, then that will promote Arwin in a more effective way that hopefully if Arwin's made the advert, which would, I would assume, be expected, then, you know, you're just reaching a new audience. And the pay it forward is that Arwin has to do the similar thing for someone else. You say, yeah, of course I'll promote your advert. I'll do you the same. And there'd be people that I would do adverts for regardless. So without even asking them to do anything, I'd produce an advert for Mark Sargent. I should really do that as the first thing. Just produce an advert for Mark Sargent. Because of all the people that have done this in the past, Mark Sargent helps me out more than anybody. I kid you not, he's made more adverts for me than anybody. He makes loads of adverts, does it without question. Just an all-round nice guy, Mark Sargent.
Yeah, he helps everyone.
Yeah. He's of this attitude. He's the person to ask if there's anything in this regard. He manages to toe the line, and sometimes in controversial subjects, which I'm not going to re-bring up to the surface, that he's dealt with in the past during his career on this subject. And he's managed to toe the line in a very noteworthy way that you kind of tip your cap to after it's all said and done. You go, you managed to come through that relatively unscathed, didn't you, Mark? Kudos. So, you know, the guy's not thick. He knows how to run the gauntlet in this arena, as well as knowing his flat earth stuff. So, you know, I think I should make, without telling him, although this might just get back to him by the time this gets published, just an advert for subscribing to Mark Sargent. Last time I checked, he wasn't quite hitting 100,000 subscribers, and he should be. Should be in that realm. He should be having a plaque. So, yeah, I think we should get Mark Sargent to 100,000 subscribers if he hasn't already. Should really check that. Let's just have a look.
I agree. That would be great. Let's
No, he
do
has
it.
hit 100k already. But either way, still
there
deserves
you
an
go.
advert.
Yeah, but Mark Sargent is so widespread. He's known, dude. That guy's taken ate a lot of humility pills in order to spread out really wide, pretty much no matter what, right? He's not shy to make himself look ridiculous as long as he can get the message across, and like still within that somehow manage to keep his dignity stable.
Right. That doesn't mean he doesn't deserve an advert.
Sorry?
Doesn't mean he doesn't deserve an advert. If anything, it means
Oh, he
he's more
does. Oh,
worthy.
he absolutely does.
Yeah. If anything, he's more worthy of an advert. Yeah, indeed. And this isn't. This doesn't count.
In 2015, he's the one that convinced me this is the year of flat Earth. He literally has said the words, "It's okay now. You can talk about it. It's safe." Right? That's what, and that pulled me over the line because I was really scared of it back then. So, yeah, that was because of Mark Sargent mostly. He's the one that originally pulled me in and got me over that line as like, I'm going to do something now.
Ace. I'm sure that's true for a lot of people, but I'm sure there's a lot of people who have no idea who he is. And some of them will be amongst my audience.
It was the subject matter experts that he had on. That was my favorite part. All these people from the military, Air Force, all these different backgrounds, vacuum specialists, all these guys who came out and were like, yeah, nah, it's definitely not a ball. We don't use any ball shit in whatever it is that we're doing.
Right,
and
he
like,
still
holy
does
shit.
that. He still does that now. He still reels in military people and all that. So it's just going steady. And
Like especially the
great
vacuum guy, that's the one that stuck out to me the most when he was talking about the ISS and how, you know, it's got to be maintained and you got a expert in vacuum technology or whatever. and he was just saying how often these things would need to be maintained, and like what we're looking at is impossible if that's what they're supposedly in a second law of thermodynamics violation. Those things would be impossible. I was just like, well, yeah, that makes sense. It checks out. Because who the hell is going up there to maintain that crap?
Come on, Chocolate. You
Right?
don't need actual maintenance. If a
Of course.
micrometeorite hits the ISS, you just put your finger in it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I guess so.
The man himself said it.
This is a Reader's Digest version containing many of the interesting parts of the flat Earth theory. For those who have already started seeing things with new eyes, it will be mostly a recap, but there could be a few new angles you haven't looked at.
Love it. Chapter 1, The Empty Theatre.
I love it. Is that Mark Sargent? He sounds different.
I am Mark Sargent.
That right. Yeah.
Nathan, I'd like to take a moment just to clarify for the audience what it is we were actually talking about a 4 or 5 or 6 people team. The idea is I would like to have a group of people I have access to or that have access to me that can help brainstorm some ideas either locally or what have you for each person to help promote the show because we need as much sharing power as we can to combat these tactics Google is using against us. Now, you have brought it to a larger area here on the show so far, but I would like to make myself available for that, and also to have access to whoever in the audience wants to participate. We need to make this a large effort, a community effort on behalf of the viewers. To do this on a regular basis, so we can all help promote the show, which is the idea.
How about if I ask Betty to make a specific room called promotion room or something like that, and that can be a meeting point for scheduled times when a meeting of minds can come and say, "This is how I think we might be able to gain more promotion." How does that sound?
How about FED think
That works
tank?
fine.
I'll speak to Betty because then at least we've got.
Sounds great, and
go on.
I do encourage everyone to participate that can participate, even if you have just a small idea. You think it might be silly. Everything is worth considering, and we really could use and appreciate your help on this. So please, let's all help work together to make this happen.
Based on that statement, I'm going to ask Betty to name the room after you, or name it after your screen name at the very least. Cool. I think that's excellent. Yes, excellent. Thank you so much, and I'm quite touched and flattered that you're that interested and concerned with doing it. So yeah, really appreciate it.
Might visit that chat room. Sounds interesting.
Well, you could benefit from it, Alwyn.
Reminder to everyone, please join QE today for QE Live, 1:00 p.m.
You're behind the curve. It's the after show, isn't it? So this won't go out till...
Yeah, that's right.
Friday.
That's right. But you know what? The folks will have this information for the next week.
There's no there's no QE Live today, right, guys?
Yeah, there is.
Oh, it's supposed to be every Tuesday.
Yeah, there is. He's posting me the thumbnail, the picture of the rubber ducky. Did you not see that?
I thought it was every 2 weeks, but
that's Ballbusters. Ballbusters is every 2 weeks. So last week, this Saturday just gone, we did not have a Ballbusters. This week, we will.
I thought it was
Shout out to
QE Live as
24/7.
well. Maybe that was just when his computer was kind of broken.
Yeah,
Never mind.
he did have an interim period where he didn't have regular shows because he had a issue with his computer. There we go. QE Live, open panel. Picture of a guy holding a sextant with a globe head in a rubber duck. No? Clearly you've not seen it.
I saw the picture. Yeah.
Is he looking for horizons that you can't actually see?
Who knows? Probably. He's probably justifying how the bent horizons can give him an angle correction.
And how refraction, it doesn't matter if it's refracted or not.
Right.
What's the
Doesn't
point
matter
of
if my
looking for an horizon that you can't see?
yeah, looking for Earth curve for boats to be obstructed by, but you can't see. It's not no Atmo day.
And why look when looking is seeing, and if you can't see it, then why look?
You're asking questions beyond the scope of the magic trick, Arwin.
Oh, good point.
We're back to Brian's
trying to
point.
get to the prestige.
We're back to Brian's point of perspective.
How's that linked together? I'm just trying to put that together in my mind, Chocolate. The prestige is the bit after the trick's been performed. So you put a budgie in a cage, put a cloth over it, and then press the cage with your hand, and the cage and the bird disappear. Yeah? That's the trick. The prestige is when you go into your sleeve and produce, I'm going to say, the budgie, actually a budgie, afterwards. Yeah, that's the prestige. So how does that link to Arwin's wanting to find out? I've forgotten his question now. It was something related to after the fact of you just assuming you've got a physical Earth curve edge for boats to be blocked by, and then you've got a problem of it being refracted non-line that you can't get an angle correction from. And then he asked a question about why. It's like, well, you're peeking behind the curtain now, Arwin, was my point. But you're like, no, you want to... that's why. Peeking behind the curtain to see what's coming next in the magic trick. I see. I got there in the end.
Right, but I was just wondering to the rudimentary logic of it. Like, oh, but if you already claim that you can't see the geometric horizon, then why even look for it?
Well, that's the prestige in it. You've killed it in the cage, so you can't see it. Then the prestige is that you've got to bring it back so that you can calculate it from its geometric position. So you bring it back and reify your budgie or your...
Oh,
horizon.
that's what we're
But
waiting
that's
for.
calculating.
No. Hold on, no, you're a great point. Don't ruin it. That's what we're waiting for. So typically, right, refraction is the prestige in the Black Swan argument for them. Right? It doesn't really work. It's just a trick. Right? Refraction, well, then you've destroyed your geometry. Right, out you go. Trick's over. That was how that ended, yeah? Well, in this case, when I've been saying I want to see what they come back with, the rebuttal is their prestige. What's the prestige for the elevation angle argument? There isn't one. There's no refraction. There's, how are you going to use these flat Earth elevation angle measurements taken from a flat Earth when transposed onto a sphere when you use a flat Earth model? Ha ha ha. That's not that's not a prestige.
And Nathan, also, if you just take 1 foot from the surface, then it's a short distance. So non-fraction cannot, some fraction cannot do so much because it's too short distance. Do you understand?
No, say again.
It's so the distance. If it's just 1 foot from the surface, and the target that is maybe 3 miles or something.
1.23.
No fraction can make any change.
Oh, what you're saying is their refraction response at a short distance over a small distance because you're only 1 foot above the horizon. Yeah, the problem with that is that their response in and of itself is a claim that the line's bent. So, not useful for angle measurements. It kills it on its arse. So you can argue that, well, no, you wouldn't have very much refraction between us and the horizon at 1 foot. It's only supposed to be 1.2 miles away, according to your maths. Yeah, but the overarching point, the problem that they actually face isn't that. It's that they've bent the line. It doesn't matter if it's right or wrong or if it could or couldn't be. We're talking about bending a line in orthographic view, after all. The reality is it's just not a straight line for an angle anymore.
But I'm also pointing out this short distance. No line will bend. Nothing will bend because it's too short distance.
Okay, I've got your point, but this is I'm going to have a dig at you now. I'm really sorry. So it's a misapprehension about the refraction that you're describing. So when you say refraction and you say in a physical circumstance that you're looking at a horizon in a dinghy, that's your question. Well, that's not terrestrial refraction that they're claiming when they say that the light would be bent at that distance or not, or whatever they're claiming, because they've got terrestrial refraction as their claim. So you're falling victim to a bait and switch. When they describe what they see in the horizon and describe what they see as being refracted, that's the suitcase being swapped. Because when they said that word refracted, describing something to do with Earth curve, they're talking about Muppet Vision 7/6R Earth-based refraction. Nothing you would ever see, because you can't see that.
Yeah, it's a Muppet Vision, and it's not in the reality absolute, so it will not work. But anyway,
but that
you can use it. You can point out, yeah. But you're right also. But I think what I'm pointing out that over so short distance, it will not make any difference.
Sure.
Yeah, but
Okay.
there is
Let me just try once more. Hold on, Brian.
Sorry.
Is refraction real? Who am I talking to, by the way?
Okay, there
Johnny B.
might be some fraction in the atmosphere over long distance, but not over short distance. You will not see any big difference over short distance. But over long distance, there's a different refractions. Are you talking about terrestrial refraction? Are you talking about there's a standard fraction or atmospheric refraction that can come in for the moment or so on? There's a What are you talking about then?
My question is refraction real?
Yes.
Is refraction 7/6R of an Earth radius value?
No.
But you said atmospheric, didn't you?
I mean contention in the air.
Right, but that's refraction.
Density in the air.
No, that's fine. That's fine, because you're talking about refraction when you talk about light deviating from straight when viewed through the air. That's refraction. Okay, yeah, light does do that. Does light bend at 7/6 of a radius value when described as it bending through atmosphere, sphere-shaped air, an oxymoron? No, but that's the bait and switch. You're saying when I see a horizon with my eyeballs, the refraction would be negligible at that distance in their sphere-shaped air? Well, you're not describing what you see anymore the moment you say atmosphere. It's a different refraction that isn't refraction. It's atmospheric refraction.
And also, it's a very problem if we are using
there was one other thing.
Atmosphere.
There was just one more thing.
We cannot use it.
There's just one more thing.
We have to use some.
There's just one other thing. Your misapprehension needs correcting on. So, when you say it won't affect it at that short distance in atmosphere, sphere-shaped air, when they debate with you as a baller, yeah, it will. Now, Craig, as a non-heretic, good boy in line with the globe claims, says, in line with the rhetoric, that if you put your hand in front of your face, it's not really where you think it is, because there is a certain amount of sphere-shaped air between you and your hand. That is technically correct from a claim point of view. It's not true, it's nonsense. But from a claim of the globe's point of view, there is always, without exception, sphere-shaped air between you and anything you look at. Therefore, nothing is ever where it's supposed to be in any circumstances without exception, including and not limited to your hand 1/4 millimetre away from your eyeball. It's still not really where you said, because there's 1/4 millimetre of sphere-shaped air between you and your finger. So it's not really where you think it is, because you're on a globe that I assume with Muppet Vision sphere-shaped air. In the diagram that I describe, your hand not being where it's supposed to be. In line with the globe and air being sphere-shaped and the bait and switch having taken place, and you're talking about atmospheric sphere-shaped air refraction, which isn't refraction in your question when you talk about looking at something like the horizon.
That is oxymoron, like as we see it.
Yeah, air isn't sphere-shaped.
There's no way, because it's all directions. It's only thing is in the layers, and we have different layers in front of us.
No. Anisotropic, inhomogeneous gases don't form layers.
The densities, density in the air.
What John is talking about, John, I know what you're talking about. What John is talking about is the study of our vision through the air in a horizontal. What happens is it's described, because I saw a program about this years ago. This guy was describing how it's like many, many panes of glass. Every foot there's another pane of glass and another pane of glass and another pane of glass. And that's why it becomes so difficult to see. And this wasn't a flat earther. This was a guy, like a PhD guy, who did a lot of stuff on this. But I could never find it afterwards. But yeah, he's talking about how we see the reason things get more and more dense for us is because it's like looking through many, 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 many panes of glass. That's how it was described by this guy.
Yeah, sure. Sphere-shaped air.
No, this wasn't for sphere-shaped air. This was
No.
for every day, just looking in a horizontal at a distance. That it's like a building up of many, many, many layers of glass that eventually we can't see, further. It just becomes a density
that
of
was
glass.
me. That was me. I did that.
Yeah, but there was a guy who actually did this.
Yeah,
years
me.
ago. I saw it.
Yeah, me. I did it.
Yeah, but you might have done it as well. But I'm saying I saw this guy. He was on National Geographic or Discovery Channel or something.
That was
a
me.
PhD guy.
Oh,
yeah.
on National Geographic. That wasn't me.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
I'm not saying you didn't do it. I'm just saying that's actually a thing. And this guy, I haven't been able to find him since I got into flat earth.
You can see in the distance everything is in layers, and you can see how the changes in the colors and everything very, very far away from you. You can see how it's layering somehow.
Sure, there's particulate
Absolutely.
matter in the air, and the further you look, the more you're going to look through. Now, that isn't a carte blanche description, because sometimes you can have really clear days for whatever reason. There's very little water in the air, very little particulates matter in the air. This is all sort of stuff that we discussed while we're looking at the Isle of Man and begging the question of a sphere Earth that gets in the way, and exploring the other explanations that we would have to give if we accepted the burden of proof reversal fallacy that came alongside their assertion that the horizon was a physical hill for boats to fall over. But we got through all of these sorts of descriptions with glass, and I did it. I actually got a whole load of glass and put it in front of each other, a couple of old glasses, with marks on them intentionally to show the effect that I'm describing with particulate matter in the air, and how you build up those layers of glass like the air would build up in layers of particulate matter or water or whatever it is whatever crap is in the air that day, which there always is. So therefore you're going to have a reduced view based on that as well. But, that description of the layers of glass is also transposed onto a sphere Earth with the layers of glass, description of a sphere-shaped air, analogous to the layers of glass like in this bloke's example on National Geographic, but falling around a curved edge, falling around a sphere Earth, to curve the light with a transitional, aka the Snell's law of it transitioning through a different medium, the glass, to change its direction at an angle akin perfectly to radius value, because it's 7/6 of r, so it doesn't matter how the description comes with the glass, it's going to be transitioning at a rate of r, 7/6 of it. So that's what they do. They just describe it with the same glass
This guy
layers.
didn't mention, Nathan, this guy didn't mention anything about ore or sphere-shaped air or atmosphere.
No, I appreciate that. I'm saying that that's been used in the example. Rumpus specifically in debate has given that example with layers of glass stacked up on a curved surface with the transitional, aka Snell's effect, going through them to change it at a rate of 7/6r. I realise you're saying that the guy in National Geographic just describes it as a load of glass in terms of it going out on a horizontal. No, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, Rumpus hijacked that.
Okay.
That's what
Go on, Johnny. Sorry.
Okay. I will also point out that with light, light always goes in straight lines, but going through the air, and these layers I'm talking about, the density, what is going through, whatsoever it is, it will looks like the light is bending, but the light is always going straight, but the material is bending with the light, but the light is in true going straight. People don't understand that, don't know that. That's just a law. Light goes straight, but over a long distance, the material looks like it's bending around it. Just like in the vacuum, if you put light through vacuum, and in the other end, you cannot see the light between, and the light comes on the other side of the vacuum chamber. That says you cannot see the light in the vacuum. You need material to bring the light. So if the material is not stable, then it
You can't
looks
see light
like
in the
it's
vacuum, John.
but the power of the light is always going straight, and therefore is a different so-called fraction also, so difficult to say what's happening because
No, it's not.
because of it.
No, it's very straightforward what's happening. How the light is changing angles. It's not actually bending. It's changing angles, right? Maybe subtly because of refraction due to a difference within the medium. But this only works really vertical, right? Because the gradient of the gas pressure in this realm is all vertical, right? Horizontally, there is no gradient. That is what would be required for some form of terrestrial refraction light bending. That's not the case. So that only happens upward.
It can be in any directions. It don't have to be like you were saying. It can be in any directions. Just I'm just saying, light always goes in straight lines.
I think Owen's agreeing with you.
The Neptune is following.
I think Owen's agreeing with you. He's just saying that with the ground falling away and the assumption of sphere-shaped air, then there would also be that effect in the horizontal. Now there isn't, but there would be a necessity for there to be that effect also. And they claim there is one at 7/6 of a radius. So Owen's just saying, no, there would be a necessity to have that effect in the horizontal if you're on a globe. And there isn't.
Yeah,
we're all viewing this wrong.
My favorite part of all of this.
Just one second. Just let John respond, and then.
There is no sphere-shaped Earth. So that you're saying, the globe is saying that the spherical Earth is not the reality. So there's oxymoron.
Yeah, but in their rhetoric, that's all Owen was saying.
Okay.
Right.
Go ahead.
I was going to say that.
Hold on, but look, terrestrial refraction is not a globe claim. We have to keep that in mind. It's an anti-flat earther claim, right? Because in the globe,
it's a globe claim.
Terrestrial refraction is a globe claim.
It is a globe claim. No, that is official. That is canon.
What? No, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
Yes, it is.
No.
Yes, it is. Refraction on a globe is terrestrial refraction. It's canon. It's part of their rhetoric. Sorry, Owen. It's just a fact. I don't know about.
No, but he disclaims it.
I don't know about refracted horizons because other than Andrew Thomas Young, I don't know how much Andrew Thomas Young has made it into the narrative of heliocentrism. He's not a member of the church. I don't know how official that is. So refracted horizons, not so much. But refraction at 7/6 of a radius, that is definitely globe Earth rhetoric. That's canon.
No.
Yeah, refracted horizons
no,
are
hold
as well.
on. I want to make a point here because it isn't.
Before you do, just
come on.
stop. Just 2 seconds because Chocolate's just waiting and he just wants to get a couple of words in. Go on, Chocolate.
Really?
Yeah, really. Go on, Chocolate.
No.
Go, Chocolate. Go.
No, well, it was about what we were saying before, describing the atmospheres, planes of glass, and all this stuff, right? Well, what I find funny is that after the Black Swan, we were told that the reason we don't see the geometric horizon is because we have an atmosphere. So in my mind, what that means is you take away all the panes of glass, you take away all the particulates and everything that's in the atmosphere that supposedly would be blocking things, and they tell you would see less. Now that's crazy to me.
What mainstream priest said that? No, but it's still my same point. What mainstream priest said this? Like this Neil Thomas Young or whatever.
You go to any curve calculator, Owen, and you look at the refracted value, and the refracted value is this exact thing.
Oh, now it's adapted?
No, it's always been there. They've always had geometric and refracted, all the curve calculators. You go to celestial navigation, when they speak about the dip horizon.
That's not true.
The dip correction.
Not true. GitHub doesn't have any refraction on it. GitHub's
Maybe
not got
GitHub. Maybe GitHub.
Well, my point still stands, though. If I can try to make it without somebody interrupting me, that would be great. And that is that I've never heard a mainstream priest that's actually on television, like Neil deGrasse Tyson or
and there's no,
that other guy. They don't mention it. They say boats go over the horizon.
Yes,
and they never
and you know
mention
why?
terrestrial refraction.
Yeah,
right?
and I'll tell you, if you leave me tell you. You know why? Because they didn't want to tell people that their refraction made the Earth look flat, and boats were not going over refracted horizons. Just like Metabunk have a dotted line that says visible horizon or actual horizon that nobody looks at because everyone sees the big line that isn't dotted that they have stand out to the eye. So people don't look at the dotted line.
Yeah, I know.
They want to give you the impression that boats are going over something when they never have. They've just
Because
been
it's canon.
visuals
Because it
and
is
refraction.
the canon. It is the story. That's the point. There is a cognition break there.
But that's me.
And the anti-flat earthers moved on with terrestrial refraction, and it might be out there, but it's not part of the main lingo.
Can I give an example, please? So, a good example would be when you're calculating Wi-Fi signal transmissions. They say, look, there's a slight difference in the behavior, and you have to use 4/3R. It is part of the rhetoric. It's part of the rhetoric for, like I said, for communication stations, but they have a slightly different formula because they reckon it's behaving differently in this communicative form. But it's as far as I'm aware, it's mainstream accepted. It may have been hijacked by Rumpus and Metabunk and the likes, but I think it's out there as part of the original canon. Right.
Okay, so there's a technological applications going around with that, but that still doesn't make it a priestly claim of the guys that get on television in your face telling it how it is. They still talk about boats over the horizon. I've never heard them mention terrestrial.
Yeah, you're not listening
right.
to me.
You're right. You're right, Arwen, to an extent, right? Like somebody like Bill Nye will just get up there with his little plastic boat over a plastic boat and just say, yeah, the boat's going over the curve and it's disappearing because it's going over the curve. He doesn't mention any refraction or anything like that, but that's just what that one guy, right?
Yeah,
there's that guy, and then there's like if you dig deeper, there is the refraction claim, right? Because he didn't have that refraction thing. He just said boats going over the curve. Look, disappears. Great. You know what I mean?
Because that's trying to hijack what we actually see, which is boats at a distance with things like inferior mirage at the bottom of the boat, but you can't see the inferior mirage because of your diffractions, because of the diffraction creating you not being able to ascertain it clearly enough. So you think that boat is going over a curve because it seems to be disappearing from the bottom up, when there's a load of visual and actual real refractive effects causing that. So they're trying to hijack that and then tell you about their geometric horizon, whereas in reality, what they weren't telling you about is that their geometric horizon was only ever in the maths. And the proof of this, if you go into celestial navigation, they have the nowadays dip correction, which has been the dip correction in celestial navigation for 100 years maybe. That dip correction corrects from a geometric horizon up to our actual horizon, and then they do height of white correction. They've known all along that they have had this claim in there, but they've been claiming the horizon is geometric when they've known all along it was never a geometric location.
Of course they knew, like the really smart ones. My point is, I am still contesting that the lingo is mainstream. I think that it's all anti-flat Earth born, naturally.
But the more you say it,
coming up as a response.
Alwyn, the more you say it, the more I'm kind of thinking, yeah, this just needs a little bit more investigation, because it does seem to be overlapping. But when you ask, well, which heliocentric priest is actually putting this out there, and I scratch my head and go, well, I don't know. And then when Brian said, well, all of the calculators have got a refractive value, well, no, they haven't. GitHub doesn't. It just shows the geometric horizon with the geometric maths as standard with boats falling over it. That's fairly standard. So you go, well, we might think there's an overlap just because we were initially pointed in the direction of the Earth curve calculator, and the ones that we were pointed in the direction of were metabunk with its refractive value already in place. So does that mean that it is canon? I've said it quite boldly, but I'm more than happy to be proven wrong. If it's not canon, then that's very interesting, because if it is anti-flat Earth, then suddenly it's the anti-flat Earthers going against the claim that we will see a physical geometric sphere edge horizon. That does sound a lot more likely, doesn't it?
Right. I think that I think that refraction, terrestrial refraction, is a grassroots discovery. Me personally, I discovered it way back when I didn't even know what the hell I was doing. Right. And I think that it has risen up as a grassroots discovery. So people add it on in an unbeknowing anti-flat Earth way, not realizing that, the priesthood is not taking it. We're not hearing about it. Neil deGrasse Tyson and Bill Nye are not talking about it.
But you're not listening to your own words.
Arvin, I don't think they know. I think they just they don't understand what it's about. Just like a person like a Blue, he is talking about it and so on. I don't think he understands it. He really believes what he's saying.
Arwen.
So to Arwen's point,
you need to listen. You need to listen to your own
decided
words.
to pipe up. No tanks. It's just like there's a couple of people who want to give their 2 penny with Brad. I'm sorry, just to stop the constant interruption. You're gonna have to let them get their 2 penny with him. Go ahead to no tanks.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Yeah,
go ahead.
Go ahead. All right. Yeah, to Arwen's point, the reason that they won't address, in my understanding, because boats over the horizon is the one and only physical proof that the globe has. So they won't give it refraction because that's the only thing they have that we can all independently see.
Exactly.
Otherwise, they
That's
literally have nothing.
They can't let go. It's too much.
Yeah.
Right? Terrestrial refraction is too complex to keep building.
You have to identify, 1 second, you have to identify the they. You guys are being too vague. They won't. They are, who's they?
I'll ask the question. Is refraction at 7/6R, aka atmospheric refraction, part of the Jesuit Catholic Church heliocentric religion in an official capacity, or not?
I say no.
We know what you say, Alvin.
I second the no, because if you take away the physical curvature of boats going over the horizon, then the mainstream globe has absolutely zero proof to show anybody. They have nothing other than conceptions.
Yeah, but along with coming up with their story, they also needed to come up with the excuse as to when the story doesn't work out. So I would think that terrestrial refraction nonsense was created alongside with the other nonsense that's supposed to actually correct. So yeah, I think they're both around at the same time.
Yeah, but look, they have sunsets and sunrises, so they have that claim they want to make, and they always have all diagrams to show that rubbish in a way that suits them to show it. But the point I'm trying to make to Arwen is that Arwen is actually giving himself the answer he's looking for. He's saying, it's only anti-flat earthers coming up with this stuff. Yeah, but they're not the people we've been dealing with. They're other people before us in the hierarchy of the globe who have been coming up with this because they're trying to stop people seeing that, the earth is just flat. It is anti-flat earthers. They're all anti-flat earthers.
But my point is it's not being part of the official narrative. It's because then the mainstream priests would make a mention of, they might keep it mysterious, like, there might be terrestrial refraction. It's really complicated. I don't want to talk about it, right? Just like gravity, we don't know what it is. Next question. They would do something like that. But I've never heard Neil or Bill talk about it, ever. And they are always these guys that are everywhere on television pushing this on everybody. They're the priests. I'm quite certain.
You have to define the priests, because Andrew Thomas Young definitely discusses refraction. He's been doing it for years. He's the subject matter expert on it. Is he a priest?
Is he on television?
Here we go. That's where I was hoping this would lead. Good.
That's the question.
Hold on.
This
where I
is
was
what I've
hoping
got
this would
some
lead.
research for, Nathan.
Ugh. That's where I was hoping this would lead, where QE's just asked the question. Okay, yes, we've got Andrew Thomas Young. Now, you said it's his subject matter speciality. Does that make it official canon, although he said it in a jokey way? Does that make it officially globe rhetoric or not?
That's the question.
Yeah, that's the question. That's right, QE.
No, but that
No, it's
it
not.
would require massive
Hold on,
peer
Arwen.
review.
Owen.
Yeah, I'm asking him.
Don't be repeating yourself. I've had a good look, and it's harder to find than you think. So if you let me just show you, I'm not so sure. I think you've got a few bits here. Look from the wiki search, how to calculate it, and this seems to be the common theme. Here's terrestrial refraction, where it's using R, but it's really more based on atmospherics as well. So then I've ended up going. The only thing I could quickly find really that, as this mentioned, is Walter Bislin, who I would suggest is in the anti-category.
So would I.
And then look at his references. This is what I wanted to. We've got a Wikipedia link that I've just showed you. Another Wikipedia. There's not much here. Atmospheric refraction. You need to look at this one, lot.
Stop you just 1 second, Adam. So you're now talking about who did you say? Not Andrew Thomas Young.
Walter Bislin.
Walter Bislin. Yeah, you already said I would class him as anti-flat Earth, but not necessarily Andrew Thomas Young.
No, but I'm
Right.
saying this sort needs to be here. This is what you need to look at to see if it's described in these references, which seem to be a bit wiki, but then there's a few lower down. Look, we've got Professor Hilmar, Concepts and Solutions to Overcome Refraction Problem in Terrestrial Precision Measurement, which would maybe have it in there. So if it's in there, then I'd say it's part of the mainstream rhetoric. If it's not, then it is being constructed and put together by people like Walter Bislin using kind of other detail. But that's, I would suggest, is where it needs to be mentioned. Look, Andrew Thomas Young's here, look, refractivity of air.
Yeah, Andrew Thomas Young is all through Wiki.
Does he say
Andrew Thomas Young? Hold on. Andrew Thomas Young's all through Wiki. The question comes down to, back to the original question or the original comment that Arwen had. It comes down to, who do you consider a heliocentric priest and what is canon? Now, if you don't consider Andrew Thomas Young a heliocentric priest, then Arwen's right. Follow?
Yeah, he's got something. I'd like to take all the credit for recognising when Arwen's actually onto something, because he does talk a lot of shite, let's be honest.
Yeah. Does he even mention it? That's what I was going to say. Does Andrew Thomas Young describe it as 7/6R, or just more with the... The other thing is, these are the versions, log. I would suggest, if I'm a baller, I'm saying all of this. It's just why we use 7/6R, because it's a much simpler approximation that kind of holds true, roughly. That would be my baller get out. Would you agree or disagree there?
Question again.
So if I'm looking at this and say, well, yeah, we don't use all this kind of derived stuff in arc seconds of Earth. What we can do, a bit like 8 inches per mile squared, is just to apply a 7/6R approximation, which is roughly about right. That's what my baller head would say as a response to trying to support it that it is canon. So this is just a complicated version of the canon, which we don't necessarily read out. We read out the 7/6R approximation, just like we state the 8 inches per mile approximation. The question is it in Andrew Thomas's Young work in the same form? Is he stating it? And then as QE says it, is he a priest? I would suggest he's a priest. He's a subject
Can we say
matter
the bowler is they? We cannot say bowler is just they. We have to be more specific, maybe. But who is they? Everybody that's believe on spinning ball, maybe. But if you want to be specific, who is behind it? Is it a university? Is it some cult? Who is it specifically that's behind it? It's not easy to answer.
Well,
Neil
there are
is just a clown, and
yeah, no, yeah, but there are so-called disciplines that do use terrestrial refraction, right? The fantasy geodesists use it. Who else?
Can we put a name on them? Can we say some name?
Does that not then make it if people are doing incorporating it that surely if geodesy is involved that makes it canon, doesn't it?
No, not if it's not incorporated
It
at
makes it
mainstream level
grassroots
for the
response.
normies in society. I'd never even heard of terrestrial refraction. I was a devout globe believer till I got here.
Because it wasn't until you got here that you needed the excuses for when their supposed curvature doesn't work. That's the only reason we hear refraction in the first place.
And then Andrew Thomas Young double speaks and says there's no different refractive indexes in the fairy tale atmosphere. So you got double speak from a questionable priest, and then you got anti-flat earthers that have taken the word and used it as their own personal jungle gym, right?
Mm-hmm.
There you got it. The rest is convoluted. You'll spend years trying to get through this.
Yeah.
The easiest way to do it is whenever whoever brings it up, right? You just ask them to define it. Define refraction. And then it's all over. Then it all goes, everyone knows it all goes downhill from there, right?
Yeah, What's the right answer? It's about the media and how light is going through the media and so on. But it's not what they say. It's because of the Earth is curving or spherical, and the light is going over. There's no proof for it. What is the definition of flat Earth refraction?
What's the definition of flat Earth refraction? What the heck?
That would just be refraction.
Yeah, the horizon doesn't displace in relation to the horizon thanks to refraction. That's flat Earth refraction.
No, refraction is Snell's law. Snell's law. That's refraction.
That is the speed of light. But I am not saying that there's the speed of light specific. I say it's just a question about the power behind the light.
You have to have two or more. You have to have two or more materials, right? And it's the junction between those materials where light deviates from straight. That's what Snell's law is. Go ahead.
Do the ballers have two different materials that they talk about? QE?
Say again?
Do the ballers have two different materials that they're talking about when they speak about refraction? Or is the atmosphere different from the atmosphere?
No, there are none. So they've taken the term, like I said, and they treated it like their own personal jungle gym and just convoluted the heck out of it and just make shit up. So that's how you square them away. You have them define it, and then it's all over. Now back to Arwen's point. Arwen has a point, I would say. It depends on how you look at it. Did we solve that point? Do we want to move on from that?
Well, there's still no proof of mainstream lingo about terrestrial refraction. Yes, it has been utilized by people within their devices, within their field, but I think it's all grassroots response, right? It's globe believer response, trying to hold on and just making it work. So I don't think it's part of the mainstream lingo. It's not the official narrative. It's not the canon.
Nathan, did you not? You remember this story better than me, I think. The lady that did the communication towers and set a world record. This was what I've pulled up here, radio communication. Here
Robin
they
Poe.
are. Yeah, do you remember?
Robin Poe.
Thanks. So she's doing that. And the reason she's setting records and being amazed is because it's going too far, to use the phrase, isn't it? And that's this, I think, which is a 4/3R correction. But you'll see they are defining blockage via geometry. I think it's here, look, 4/3 K factor. So this is in radio communication, Owen. So this is trained to people that don't understand the ball Earth. This is the rhetoric given to an engineer that's going to go and place towers and check for his towers and what to expect. This is the blurb he's given, the rhetoric for why he has to have another tower every 160 kilometers for 1,500 of height. So it is within this, and this
it is. Sorry, just for clarity, terrestrial refraction is included in this claim for why you'd need the relay towers.
Yeah.
So it's canon, Arwin.
Can I just say?
Arwin's question. I just want him to respond.
But it's in the device then. This is not spoken out within mainstream narrative.
It doesn't matter.
It's hidden in the technology.
Arwin. Right.
matter.
In the same way, Coriolis effect, you can find examples of a handbook that says that Earth's going to rotate under a bullet. Therefore, Coriolis is canon. Doesn't matter about the stars being Coriolis. Coriolis is canon. If you've got examples where they say no, including the refracted light that this signal's going to have to go through at 7/6 of a radius of the curved Earth, we're going to need relays. Then it's canon, as far as I'm concerned. Does anybody disagree other than Arwin? I know you disagree, Arwin.
I'm not sure I agree 100% because I have said it before. I don't want to repeat me again, but like a Snell's law says, a path of light wave, it passes across the boundary, separating two meteors. So I am saying that the meteor is reflecting from the light source, and the light source is
we're not talking about refraction, John.
There's a
We're
big
talking
difference
about whether...
in thought. It's a thought experiment. So it's not the light. Light is not bending. The meteor is showing.
Yeah, but that's what we're talking about. What's actually happening? We're not talking about that. Nathan's question, John, is whether their standard terrestrial refraction that we've heard about for several years, this 7/6 of the radius refraction, whether that is part of the official rhetoric. That's what we're talking about, not actually why refraction happens or anything else.
Okay.
I've got on screen now, just highlighted it. Look, the usual effect of the declining pressure of the atmosphere with height, vertical pressure variation, is to bend, refract radio waves down towards the Earth's surface. This results in an effective Earth radius increased by a factor around 4/3. So that is mainstream rhetoric, certainly in telecommunications, which is your layman, as far as I'm concerned.
Starting to hear
So I was with you,
Just thank
and then
Adam. He's actually done the work. Thank you, Adam.
I'm starting to hear unanimously from the anti-flat earthers that we have never seen the physical horizon. It's always been and always will be the refracted. Seems to be starting to gain some kind of traction with them.
But that's been the situation since Black Swan.
It's still all grassroots response.
Any discipline that requires looking or sending a signal at a distance or using a distance are going to add in 7/6 of a radius. I already said celestial navigation have their current dip correction is 7/6R. That's what their current globe dip correction is 7/6R. And it's like ships don't even use sextants now. They have GPS and other things. So how long has that been part of celestial navigation? You know, the globe is a work in progress, isn't it? They'll add in that and they need to add in. That's what they've always done. It becomes canon if they need to add it.
Well, that depends. You know, the people fill it in. They basically fill the task that given to them by the priesthood, and then maybe the priesthood will adapt if it fits the future agenda. But I haven't seen that actually happen with terrestrial refraction, despite its grassroots popularity.
That's only if the priest needs to respond or has to make an excuse, right? Do the priests have to ever their curvature doesn't work? No, Neil deGrasse Tyson has never been put on. So well, we have observations where there is no curvature. What's going on? He doesn't talk. That's why he doesn't talk about refraction. Bill Nye didn't need anybody when he had his little toy boat or his little toy globe, right? That's only necessary refraction sign they pull out the back pocket when they need it. When they don't need it, they just say, "Oh, look, good, boat's going over the curve. Look, great, everything's beautiful," right?
But Chocolate, when did they pull it out of their pocket then? I've never heard Neil deGrasse Tyson or Bill Nye
Because
talk about it.
they're smart enough to not put themselves in that situation.
Right. So
Neil deGrasse knows they're well better.
Right,
You
but
know?
that supports my point. They don't need it. They're not taking it.
Well, I get your point, Arwen. I tend to I kind of agree with it. Except that I'm pretty sure whenever they came up with this nonsense, they had to come up with the alternative nonsense, right? Because there's a reason why. If you think we live on a ball and there's something that's in the distance that should be hidden by this ball, well, now we have to have a reason why this thing is not hidden by the ball, right? Well, that would have came around the same time that the theory of the ball came around, right? I think it's been in there in the little details, but as far as is
No.
it mainstream? No, the mainstream ain't gonna use it like that. Why do we hear it now? Because of the people that want to defend the shit, right? The only
But
reason we hear
optics,
refraction.
even optics has not been that well integrated over time, right? It's still kind of obscure because it's so freaking complex. You really got to have the right type of mindset and focus to be able to grasp it. And most of the people just don't have it. And there's actually a reverse. There's an attrition cycle. So it's getting worse, right? So they just don't embrace it. They don't go into the field of optics. They keep it simple. And they can't afford to embrace it because everybody would just think like, we don't understand what you're talking about anymore. This is kind of confusing. Please keep it simple. We just want to hear about how the Earth is basically a globe and we don't have to worry about it, right?
I think we have a big worry about it.
No, but in a way, the priesthood is supposed to be providing a safe space for the pure believers, the innocent ones. And they can't overload them, right? So if you draw in terrestrial refraction, just look at it, man. It's an abomination. It's so idiotic and complex, and the Arwinian paradox and all that. It's too much. No innocent mind is gonna grasp that.
But Arvin, there's so many things that's so simple. We can just lay it on the table, and they shall not can be able to say anything. Just like the sextant and a circle of equal altitude. What if you get three circles of equal altitude to get the point your point you are on? That give you thousands of miles in the same altitude. That is flat. Nobody is talking about that in the media. How can we take this fact in the media? So just simple fact like that. Maybe put it in the newspaper or something.
I'm sorry. There's a lot
that's
that's not being talked about. So.
Yes, exactly. I'm just pointing out there's a lot of things that you just can take out and point out. They don't have to be so fucking complicated.
Right. So not canon. They can't handle it. Too much.
Yeah. They cannot handle it. But if we put it in and pay for it, and put it in the mainstream media, simple facts, and everybody can
Yeah,
you
good luck with
$5
that.
or
Put
something.
it in mainstream media. Yeah.
Yeah, think about it. They cannot say no.
But how are we going to accomplish that? Look who's in control.
Simple facts. In the New York Times, the whole pigs in the middle or somewhere, and people will start talking about it, and it will flow, and we will put it all over the place, all over in many cities, in other countries.
Yeah, but that's what would happen
people
when
will
we
start
succeed.
talking.
But how? How are we gonna actually achieve that happening?
Go for.
You see?
We have to have some money, yeah, and put some effort to it.
I agree, but unfortunately, I don't have that kind of money. Nor do I have a very specific vision to build up towards that. Although I have a lot of vision, but not for that.
I think there's a lot of people, and we are getting bigger. There's a lot of people that can afford something like that. Testing, you know. And it can be
I think we should just be available for those that seek. For those that seek enlightenment, for those that really want to know, that want to be able to handle the challenge that comes when you go over that line of understanding, right? And all the challenges, they just want to they want to find a place where they can actually attune and find the right tools within themselves through God in order to accomplish what they want to accomplish, right? And I think that that's why we're here, why we're small but stable, right? Because it's like the world knows we're needed. We have a very specific function and it works. People get into us and then they come out better.
Yes.
But if we go mainstream, then that entire setup kind of warps. You know, we don't know what's going to happen then. The world might simply not reject it all of a sudden and polarize against it, right? So maybe it's better like this. But I'd like everybody to grow. I'd like Nathan Oakley to grow, myself, and other flat earthers to like, come on, man, just pull slightly off the brakes already. We got all this energy. We got so much to give for everything, for everybody. Everybody can learn. Just let us go a little. We don't have to like, oh, we don't want to rule over you. Let us just do our thing. And it all will be good.
No, I'm just talking about the rich people that's just working, normal people, and so on, and they're opening the newspaper. Oh, what's that? You know, some thoughts. They are never, they were not thinking about it, and they are not on YouTube, and so on and so on. And then we reach out and using the media and pay for it. We get something new, people, a new question that will bring it into the mainstream media, and they cannot fight against it. It will happen, but of course it costs money. But that's the marketing, you know. So that's the way if you really want to do it.
I wanted to bring up something
fast.
kind of funny. And I wish Eli was here because this was his thing that he sent to me. But I'll bring it up since he's not here. I don't know if somebody can share it. It's in Master B. But it's about how the sun's rays will become nearly inescapable for a moment on Friday. Or I think this was past Friday, whatever. But the article says, and I'll read it, quote, at any given moment, one side of the earth is facing the sun and the other is in the dark. It's simple geometry. Intuitively, then, it makes sense that roughly half the planet's population is in the dark at any given time. This is the only way Santa Claus's December gift delivery schedule makes any sense, right? That's the article. So,
No.
but the geography and distribution of people across our world is actually a little more complicated than that. So much so that almost every human will experience some form of direct or indirect sunlight at the same moment on July 8th. Now, I know this is past already, but think about that for a second. How many times has a flat earther heard the question, well, if the earth was flat, why wouldn't we get sunlight everywhere on earth at the same time? Well, here's them giving you an excuse as to why that would happen and telling you that it is going to happen.
Did you say July?
Yeah, July 8th.
He said July.
Yeah, July 8th, 99% of the world's population has sunlight. Yep. I've been bringing it up to Globers. They have nothing to say.
Oh, they got nothing on that? Because, again, how many times have we heard that question?
That
and
checks
here's
out.
them. This is their side telling them, oh, yeah, well, so, intuitively,
A lot of shit.
half the population is in the dark. But here's a beautiful excuse as to why 99% of the population will have either direct or indirect sunlight on one day at the exact same time. Hilarious.
Definitely can't happen on a sphere, that's for sure.
But it can. That's the whole point of the article, apparently.
That's what they'll say. It is. Look, it's happening. 99% of the world is going to get hit with sunlight.
Yeah. So I'd love to hear a Glober tell us why you think that half the world is in the dark, but yet 99% of the population will get sunlight. That wouldn't work on a ball. And they're telling you that. But they're telling you how it actually is working on a ball. So how does that work? Globers.
I don't know how to answer this nonsense.
You don't have to answer the nonsense. you don't believe in
But
this
what did
nonsense,
happen?
so you don't have to answer.
What did happen? Did the sun shine brighter? Did it get further away? And what did happen? And who knows?
Oh, I don't know. I don't have the whole article. I only have like the part Eli sent to me. But
coincidentally,
I'm sure
the July 4th, I think somebody was mentioning it the other day. The heliocentric model claims that the sun is actually furthest from Earth on July 4th, between July 4th and July 8th every year, and that's where the origins of 4th of July really come from. And then on July 8th, 99.9% of the population, which is mostly in the north, had direct or indirect sunlight. Yeah.
that was the origins
You
of
are
July
dropping
4th.
out all the
I
time.
never heard
Is it
that.
my internet or your?
Oh, sorry, maybe it's mine.
Your I don't know. It's only me.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, I was mentioning how somebody the other day had had commented on the origins of July 4th. Nope, can you hear me again?
Yeah, that was one day. You're correct.
Yeah.
We can hear you here.
And
I don't know if Discord can hear you, but I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, somebody had commented how on the origins of July 4th is the the heliocentric model describes it as the sun's furthest distance from Earth, right? But yet it's the hottest day always, like in the summer part of the world. And then coincidentally, on July 8th, it was a phenomenon that is, they claim, I'd have to look back on dates, but they claim is every year observed on July 8th, where 99.9% of the population, which is mostly in the north, has direct or indirect sunlight. Two things that they already got to jump on.
I never heard them try to correlate the celebration of July 4th with it being the furthest away from the sun. That's hilarious, if that's true. That sounds like something that Glober would make up, though.
No, it's not
Wouldn't
that
that be
anybody
a world?
correlated it.
Wouldn't that be a world celebration instead of just, you know, like American celebration?
Yeah, no, that's not. It's not exact how you're taking it. It's just that just so coincidentally we have July. Hey, listen, maybe they planned this July 4th independence invasion knowing that the sun is hottest on July 4th. I don't know, right? But coincidentally, the heliocentric model describes July 4th as the date that the sun is the furthest it will ever get from Earth, and it also seems to be the hottest day. And then a couple, it's not always the 4th. It's between the 4th and the 7th or 8th or 9th, something like that. They always say between the 4th and the 9th or something. And then also that phenomenon
one of
of
those days.
99%
Pick a day.
yeah, one of those days.
Yeah, I definitely feel my oven the hottest the further away I move from it. So that checks out in reality. Yep.
You just don't understand.
Yeah, I guess I know, right?
Right, but then how does that line up with? Not that I'm backing it up, but then how does that line up with us getting more sun on the 8th, right? So that does correlate with something getting raised higher above us to give more sunlight to a flat plane, right?
It's holographic.
Very,
It's all a holographic template of intensity and angular positions.
yeah, I mean, it could have just the sun could just get for whatever reason, it could get more illuminated on those dates, just brighter, for all I know. But it does line up with the model of being higher and getting more sunlight on a flat model, not on a globe.
Right. Intensity, angular position.
Sounds
That's the
like it
map.
might be a problem for the globe, which is why, hence this article telling you why 99% of the world will apparently get sunlight or direct or indirect sunlight at the same moment on the same day. Sure. So you come up with the story, then you got to come up with the backstory, like the excuse at the same time.
That's the way they work.
Instead of waiting for someone to ask you, and then you have to come up with the excuse.
Now everything's back engineered. You know that.
According to Brian, it's back engineer. Oh wait, back engineer. Right, Brian?
Way back engineered, like the Wayback Machine.
Yeah, it is. The Wayback Machine is the best way for us to jokingly refer to it. Yeah, the Wayback Machine. Because that's what it is. It's back engineering several times over.
Yeah, because you got to back engineering the back engineering that you've already back engineered.
Well, yeah, they had to start off by back engineering the radius, and then from there they back engineered the 7 or the where your geometric horizon is going to be according to your eye height, and your 8 inches per mile square drop had to be back engineered.
Hey, is Hoymar there? Did he come back with his citation saying that people measure elevation angles off a globe?
No, he never did.
Did he happen
but
to come back
Nathan did.
with that? Nathan, the guy who doesn't even like citing fucking citations and shit, and he had that shit in 10 seconds. I'm
Yeah, that was a
wondering
perfect one.
Hoymar, who said, "There's plenty." I'm waiting for one. Where's the one? I don't need plenty.
He's in here chat skanking.
Again?
Hoymar. Come on,
That
Hoymar.
Hoymar.
Yeah. I'm trying to see if he came up with that citation yet. Or nah. I'll try again tomorrow, I guess.
Holy Mark. What kind of name is that?
The kind of name that doesn't come up with a citation when he says he's got plenty.
The non-citation name.
Oimar, that delusional knucklehead, right? What is he still trying to manifest a non-visible horizon from a dip angle correction?
Nah, I'm just trying to find out if he brought up that citation that he said there are plenty of. That's what I want.
Plenty up for what? Sorry, I just got back. I had an ant problem and I made breakfast. So what's going on now? Come on, give it to me.
People use actual globe for elevation angles. And when he asked Nathan for one, Nathan had one on the spot, and then he asked him where his is, and I haven't heard anything. I didn't know if I missed the update or what's going on.
He's a delusional, one dizzy delusional mode, isn't he?
Yep.
He just makes shit up, doesn't he? Do you grasp the absolutely batshit insane part of that statement? He was trying to manifest a non-visible horizon from a dip angle correction. Let that sit.
Then at one point he was like, I never brought up the non-visible horizon. He started with that.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. Yeah.
I was just like, bro, these guys, though, do they understand that this is being taped? Like, recorded and shit? Like, we listen to the words you guys say? Do you guys get that? Or you guys
No,
just
I always
speak
say
and
they don't think when
hope
they
that
speak.
we didn't hear what you said? You think speaking for 2 hours is gonna make us forget what you said at the beginning of those 2 hours? Nah, we don't work like that. Words
They don't
mean
think anything through.
things. Yeah. How's that non-visible horizon
I mean,
doing?
that statement's
Olimar?
batshit insane on multiple levels. However, when you jump into his paradigm, into his worldview, you have to multiply it by at least 10 to 50. Right? Because he's trying to manifest a non-visible horizon from a dip angle correction, but in their world, the dip angle has everything to do with the horizon. So how can you first get the dip angle? There's no horizon because he's trying to manifest one from the consequent. Is this going too deep?
Nah.
Affirming the consequence.
Yeah, we've seen that little message.
It's like how the universe existed before it existed and poofed itself into existence.
Yeah.
like that.
Hey, that's close to copyright.
Listen.
Have we figured out these different horizons already?
Say again?
Have we figured out all the different horizons already?
No, I didn't get any messages. Oh, I did get one message from John. I think he tried to define one or something. I can't remember, but no, we
Yeah.
haven't gotten any.
Like in the last 2 or 3 days, I posted like plenty of horizon definitions twice. If you want, I could post it again, so you might go them through.
Go ahead.
Yeah, 1 second.
Sorry, I'm in the middle of breakfast, so I usually like to curtail conversation during the station. I find it coarse and vulgar.
And you didn't bring any for the rest of the class?
Nope, got scrambled eggs Boy, they're nice and fluffy too. You guys don't know the secret of that. I got 2 sausages because bacon has gone through the roof. It's like $1,800 a pound, and toast,
You ain't lying.
melted toast, melted toast, toast with melted butter on it. Right, you put it in the little toaster oven and you melt all the butter so it soaks up into the bread, and then you top it off with some hard butter. I like butter.
I put the horizon definitions in main chat.
Okay, who are you?
Sorry, say again.
What's your name?
What was your name, sir?
I'm Eric.
So Fleric, so the local horizon, the actual lower boundary of the observed sky or upper outline of terrestrial objects, including nearby natural obstruction. We didn't have local horizon. That wasn't part of it. But the local horizon is the geometric horizon, by the way. Let's see if they say it. The geographic horizon is the apparent boundary between the Earth and sky. Yeah, that's correct. Also called the apparent horizon or local horizon, like I just said before. Visible horizon. Yeah. The true horizon is the imaginary plane. What? True? And it's an imaginary? That's not a horizon.
That's weird.
That's weird. Thanks.
Actually, that's only the second half of it. If you look 2 messages above, there's the rest of those lists. You know, there's plenty more.
Oh, I'm sorry. I missed those. I'm right in the middle of breakfast, man. Can we come back after I'm done?
Yeah, no worries, sure.
Okay. Or somebody that's on the panel and in Discord can go through them. Are we still on the show? Yeah, I see Nathan in here. What's up? Somebody else could go through them if they want. You don't need me to read these, or do you?
Why can't he read them?
I just told you I'm right in the middle of breakfast.
Not you, him.
He meant
Whoever
the guy who
posted them,
Yeah, if
read
you
them.
want, I read them out. Yeah, sure. I read them out if you want.
Have fun, man.
Yeah, so first one in my list is the celestial horizon, which is the horizontal plane passing through the center of the Earth, which coincides with the center of the celestial sphere, also called rational horizon, geometrical horizon, true horizon. Okay. The plane through the center of the Earth that is perpendicular to a radius of the Earth that passes through the point of observation on the Earth's surface, or the intersection of that plane with the celestial sphere.
Stop.
Yeah.
So a flat
It
plane then.
says the celestial horizon is the geometrical horizon.
Yes,
And the
it
true
says
horizon,
it's
which
also
was
called rational,
previously defined as
geometrical,
imaginary.
and true horizon.
It says it's the geometrical horizon and true horizon. That's not true. That's not true. No pun intended. That's a contradiction. That's not what they are. The geometrical horizon is not a plane passing through the center of the Earth. That's not geometrical. Geometrical is down on the other. I just read the geometrical.
No, but
So
what that
that's
means
wrong.
is
We're
that the
just
Owen, hold on.
geometric horizon is the one you need to think of as real.
Oh my God. Can you let him respond? Fleric.
Yeah, I think it gets pretty convoluted already, as we can see. So there are different definitions for like the same concepts, and then they come back and say it's also called like in the other definition, which I don't really get. Yeah, I'm not like defending those. I just research those and put them together.
Sure, but do you understand and appreciate the contradiction that QE's now highlighted in the description?
Yeah.
Cool. That's all I wanted. Go ahead, Darwin.
I don't even know what I was saying anymore. So
Okay, then. Meanwhile, we only have one horizon. And the horizon in the begging the question proof of nothing perspective hijacking Earth curve calculator is the geometric horizon. Not a slice through a sphere Earth that leaves you with a flat plane. Was there another one?
Wait, maybe that's why they say we can't see the geometric horizon, because we need to slice the Earth in half and use the equatorial plane as the horizon. Yeah, that's great.
No,
because that's
because I'm
Go on.
sorry, no, that's not true. They define the geometrical horizon down here as you can see it. It's visible. The visible horizon.
Geometric horizon, according to rhetoric and the globe Earth claim, is the horizon and its Earth curve. That's what the geometric horizon is. It's supposed to be visible. It's supposed to be blocking boats and buildings. It's not a slice through a globe Earth leaving you with a flat plane, aka the celestial sphere model, over a flat plane. That is not what it is. They're different.
Well, that's a shame.
Yeah, so it's pretty indicative that we got so much horizon definitions in the model, right? Although it's only just what we can see.
We only have one horizon. It's not Earth curve.
Well, why would you expect to see
You could
Earth curve?
summarize this as saying, you could summarize it in saying, because we can go through this, this would take all day. I've already done it multiple times on Black Swan presentations, but there are multitude of law of identity violations and non-contradiction violations. It's all convoluted nonsense. Every single one definition up here is not the definition of horizon, except the first one that I read up, the geometric horizon. The apparent break between the earth and the sky, right?
It's funny how one of the definitions he read was the true horizon, which was apparently they defined it as imaginary, but then still had that term under the other horizon, which is visible. So which is it? Is it imaginary horizon or is it the visible horizon? This is the nonsense that people have to weed through to get to this crap. Like, it's insane. And then we get called idiots and crazy people for pointing it out. And you're the guys that believe this shit. It's unreal.
These are the intellectuals, okay? They create this this convoluted jungle gym, so then they could go into the hopper whenever they need to and throw out terms real quick in the conversation, right? Real quick, real fast, because you're not going to be able to gather yourself to deal with each of them, right? That's what it is. It's a lot of fun, though. I stop them dead in their tracks. Let's define each word. They love that. Semantics, QE. Semantics, man.
Yeah, it is.
Words have meaning.
You guys better start saying something. He's going to close this out.
I meant to ask, is there a fallacy named after redefining words in the middle of using them, like in a debate fashion? Is that a fallacy?
You're fishing, aren't you, Chocolate?
Say again?
Fishing for something to talk about.
No, it was something that was in my mind the other day. I was just trying to think, is there a name for the fallacy of redefining a word in the middle of, like, in the context of using it?
Yeah.
Or is that just redefining?
Yeah, there's one.
I know
there's an equivocation. There's an equivocation.
Yeah, I know equivocation is using two different meanings of the same word, but like, well, yeah, I guess it's the same thing.
If I might add one more thing. So in this horizon list in the chat, it also says that none of this above horizontal planes described coincides with the visible horizon, the line where the Earth's surface and the sky appear to meet. Okay.
So what they're saying is none of the descriptions that they give of a horizon, multitudes of, actually meet what a horizon would be and could be and is defined as, the position where the sky meets the ground.
That's another way of saying what we use is not what you measure in reality.
Yeah, I was about to make that exact point, Adam. Kudos.
That's hilarious.
So what you're saying is, when you talk about horizons and Earth curve, that's not what we'll see. Yeah, we know.
Let's see, in that one sentence alone, you would need a category error, a lexical fallacy, a false equivalent. That's at least 3 that I could spot.
Abracadabra, come off mute. Do you have something to say to me?
To who?
To me, QE.
Not that I know. Why?
You better gird your friggin' loins before you do. I
What?
see.
What? What's
I see
wrong?
I see something in chat. Is sort of
What do you see?
derogatory comment. Don't interrupt
I did
me
not
when I'm
make
about to
any
slam you in the next
derogatory
ring. So there's a little derogatory comment in chat regarding me from you. So have you got something to say to the public?
Well, you just perfectly demonstrated the behavior that others were accused of, which I just observed in you, and I did not make any
Really? My
derogatory comment.
behavior. You friggin'
Yes, your
crayon
behavior.
munching clown. What's semantics?
Exactly that behavior.
What's
Exactly
semantics?
that behavior.
What's semantics?
Oh, this is Ed Masto. Welcome back,
I don't know.
clown.
What is semantics?
Where you been?
Yeah, that's what I asked you, you fucking retard.
Yeah,
Let's
I
cut down
told
the
you I don't
swearing.
know,
Stop swearing,
so-
please.
I'm sorry.
You're sorry, right? You are.
Shut the hell up, you crayon munching
Okay, I
idiot.
will shut up. Sorry.
Yeah, you're a real clown, sir. Just delete your shit. Is that Ed Masto?
Yes, it is. I recognize
Oh,
that
brother.
voice.
Talking about
Ed
being
Masto, do
killed
you ever
over and
figure
over
out
again
what the
and then
geometric horizon
respawn.
is?
I'm sorry, I rumpushed you, Chocolate. Go ahead.
No, I was asking him if he ever figured out what the geometric horizon is.
He don't even know what his name is. He can only snowflake Sally appeal to. It's your behavior. Let me go get my sniffle gear.
So wait a second. This is abracadabra. Because
QE, you were the one that was crying about what I said, right?
Yeah. I was really
right.
crying
Just to
in here.
get that, just to get that straight.
I was really crying in here. I'm just overflown right here. I'm flooded with tears. An idiot. Please provide one evidence for your spinning ball space monkey religion. Scientific, please.
No such religion, and therefore no such evidence. So
There's no such evidence, so there's no evidence.
No
for
such religion, and therefore no such evidence.
Oh, there.
The
Yes,
whole
there is a
sentence
religion.
reads, yeah.
You're in it. You're in
Yes,
it,
there
neck
is.
deep, Mr. Funny Boy.
It's Catholic in origin, apparently.
He went on deafening mute. I'll help him out too. There you go.
What a
So
great
this is
showing, Ed Masto.
Heliocentrism, it's a philosophical predisposition to interpret the phenomenal world, to come up with a creation story and a reason for living and your place in the universe, etc., where we come from and where we're going. So that fits the definition of a religion that I know of.
Religion is defined as belief without evidence. And the globetards are the poster child. Of course, if you ask a flat earther, they have evidence of a flat earth. Funny how that is. So that was our fun for today. I caught it out the corner of my eye, too. Go ahead.
Now, for such a long outing, I was hoping he might come back and shut the show down, with all the evidence.
No, they just run. And I have to say, wisely so. Because they have no chance. And apparently they're wise enough to figure that out.
Oh, we got Hoymar chat skanking again.
Oh. Is he?
What's that?
Is he in VC? I was just about to round out.
No, he's not in VC. He's chat skanking. I told you guys not to let him round out.
It's really not let him round out.
Because they want to stay and talk, but they sound a little tuckered out.
You'll tuck it out, lads.
I'm just getting on a roll. I'm just starting now. All right, go ahead, Nathan. You can round out.
I don't need your permission, but thanks.
Is that the same as I don't need your permission to start my show? You may begin. Follow?
Yeah, you need my permission.
I figured I did.
Right, and on that note, we'll say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G+ panel for making today's after show possible. And of course, a massive thank you to all of you in either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley premiering streams, hopefully smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, joining as a member, and all that good stuff. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.